We have a very special edition of Best Ball Breakfast on tap this morning. Same usual start time, 10 a.m. Eastern, but we're here on a Wednesday because it is stream week on So You Think You Can Tout. We have 5 prospective touts left, and they are going to be hosting me on Best Ball Breakfast today. Normally it's me hosting Corain, Sam, Levitan, Leone, all of the guests who come through. But today, kind of like last week where I got to kick back during the bash, I didn't have to do anything. Today, I get to be the guest. These guys get to drive, get to ask me questions, all of that good stuff. They did an awesome stream with Davis Maddock yesterday as the guest. Today, they will be the host. And later today and tomorrow, they will also host on their individual channels as a solo streamer. I'm Pete Overzet. So You Think You Can Tout Stream Week. Let's kick it off here with PPR Tyler. Welcome to hot best ball summer. You slurp that suspension dipperino, honey.
Easy to click on Rashad White when it's all site credits.
Exodia. Put the puppy in the bag, bro. Try to grow the goddamn game.
The game is beatable, folks.
Slap King Summer, bitches.
7,000 hours of commercial-free best ball drafts starts now. All right, there he is, PPR Tyler, kicking things off right away this morning. How are we doing, Tyler?
I'm doing great. Woke up early, had a little go-gurt. I actually did have a go-gurt today, just in the spirit of, this competition. So I'm doing pretty good today.
Yeah, what's the diet like these days? Is it exclusively go-gurts that gives you all the sustenance you need for a long day of teaching and coaching football?
Well, no more teaching now. We're now, at GNC, just getting after it, dancing in the middle of the pre-workout aisle and doing all things that are necessary for me to complete my duties there. But yeah, it's been my diet's about, I'm kind of eating breakfast now, which has been good. Just a bunch of meal prep. Sometimes I'll, have the occasional Chipotle, but that's kind of about it.
All right, man. Well, we are in a Best Ball Mania draft. We're in the 107. My job as a host is now over. This is your show. I am merely here to do what you want to do with this show. So take it away, PPR Tyler.
All right, we're at 7. I feel like I think every content thing I've done for So You Think You Can Tout, we've been at the 7 spot. We're at 7 for O'Hara when I was on with him, and I was on 7 yesterday with Davis Maddock. So I'm curious to get your thoughts on what we're going to go at 7 here, because I think it's one of those interesting ranges where you got CMC, you got JT. Sometimes JSN falls there, but not usually. Or if you want to go receiver, just off the bat, what are you thinking at 7 in terms of, do you have a lean there?
Yeah, it seems like what generally is happening here is someone does something kind of fancy at 105, 106. You'll see the Genty pull up, as we've known. Some people love, one of the receivers there. And so I think I've generally been pretty content to be like CMC Faller, Jonathan Taylor there. I think it gives you flexibility coming back in round 2, right? Where it's like, if you want the wide receiver, London should be there in the second round, or you're probably getting one of these last running backs as well.
Yeah. Are you going into drafts kind of letting the draft board play out as you see fit? Or are you going in like, I want to get, most of my teams with 2, anchor running backs? Or do you like the London, AJ Brown type of receivers for the number 1 on your team?
It's funny you say that because I think we're up here.
Right. Yeah, JT or CMC, what are you thinking here?
Let's see here. Check the exposures. I'm basically even on both of these guys. Let's do CMC. We'll grab CMC here. But yeah, I think one of the things early on, I would say up until like this past week, I felt like the 2 running back starts are really dominant. I love the ability to get wide receivers in the middle to late rounds. And just what I noticed, even on Monday, it's like all of a sudden there's values on some of this second tier running backs, the dead zone running backs. David Montgomery's cheaper, Ramondre slipping in drafts, Chuba's slipping in drafts. I'm really coming around on Jordan Mason. So I'm okay now. Like I like some of my builds where I start JSN London and then go running backs. What about you?
Yeah, I love doing this hero running back thing right now where it's, I'm going CMC, and if I don't mind going double anchor. And then like the general rule for me is like, if I get CMC and then I get a guy like, let's say like, HN falls over here, which he's done a couple of times, I'm fine like not clicking running back until the 11th round. Like I'm just going to load up on the, get my good QBs, get guys that stack, get my, a pretty good tight end, going to have really good receivers. And I already have the floor of those first 2 running backs, and I have weekly upside. And then I can just tack on like high upside players. Like 2 of my most drafted players right now are Tank Bigsby, Brian Robinson, guys like Tyler Algier, guys who have real upside. So that's kind of what I've been doing as of late. All right, we have CMC. It looks like Henry is one of those RBs that may fall back. So we're going to you have Derrick Henry ranked pretty high here. A little bit lower on HN. I want to dive into that after this pick here. But what are you thinking here in terms of, do you want to go double anchor, or are you thinking we go with that first receiver?
Let's do it. Last night on Chip Chasing, they had the AARP show. Which olds are you willing to buy in on? Let's do the Derrick Henry CMC start. We'll party like it's what, 2021 here?
It's not even 2021. It's like this guy does it every year. The highest scoring game of his career came in week 17 last year. Like, this guy's not slowing down as much as people have been. I remember listening to like the fantasy footballers on like 2021, 2022 when I was still in college, and they're like, oh, this age cliff for Derrick Henry is coming soon. It's 2026 and he's still kicking.
It really is crazy. I wrote about him in the Fantasy Life newsletter the other day, because Fantasy Life projections relative to ADP, like we have him with a top 5 ceiling projection, and he's one of the biggest gaps you'll see ADP to projection in the couple of rounds, right? Like normally rounds 1 and 2 are pretty well, laid out in the correct order. Like the market's been pretty efficient, and yet we are all terrified that this is the year the wheels finally fall off Derrick Henry. But it's like he shoved it down my throat literally year after year, multiple formats, DFS, best ball, dynasty. I have doubted this guy. And sure, it does seem very appropriate that the 1 year I'm in on him is when I get rug pulled. But I'm just going to embrace the big dog this year, man.
As you should. All right. Definitely a receiver here, probably, unless you just really want to go triple anchor, which I know we definitely can if we want to bully running back. Olave here. We can do the Baltimore thing with Zay Flowers. T. Higgins is a week 17 with Derrick Henry as well. Let's see here.
Yeah.
All right.
This is
back here. Yeah. This guy's probably gonna go running back. He goes receiver too. Is there a receiver here that you like, or if we just want to bully RB and maybe go 4 on this team, I'm fine with that. What are you thinking?
I would be either Brees, or if we want to go wide receiver, T. Higgins. Do you have a preference?
I'm good with T. Higgins if you want to do that. Week 17.
Let's do it.
Yeah. One of the things with T. Higgins, one of the things I've noticed just drafting a ton this year is I feel like it's because of these goddamn Sims, man. Because of these goddamn Sims, people are like, does week 17 not matter anymore? Like, people don't talk about it like it was the only thing that mattered. Now the only thing that matters is like, how many tight ends can you just get in a room and you can make the case that your team's actually still good? Like, would you have a take on, week 17? Like, because I remember even you would be like the data says week 17 is what matters. Like, have you backtrack from that a little bit in this new sim world that we live in?
I think it's a good question. I think there's two things. One, Sims are absolutely taking away from that conversation, right? You think about the things we would talk about pre-Sims. Like, we had to do all of this math, all of this correlation boosting in our heads, and we would basically talk it out. The Sims have now shortcutted that. It's like, why do we have to say something that is baked into the Sims, which in a lot of ways takes away from some of the fun of drafting and doing it like this. I'll also say, though, I have the solver pulled up right here. I can see the full week 17 matchups. Like, yes, we know Baltimore plays Cincinnati, but it's all right here for me as well. And so I think we've just lost it as a conversation topic. In the same way, do I talk about what street I'm turning on when I'm driving in the car? It's like, no, the GPS just tells me what to go, and I don't have to say I'm turning right here on North Street.
Yeah, 100%. All right. Receivers here, Garrett Wilson, Evans, Waddle, any of those guys do it for you. Otherwise, if you are really in on Jacobs or Scatterbo, we can go in that direction as well.
I kind of like value hounding here a little bit. Should we just grab Garrett Wilson?
Let's go Garrett Wilson. I think he's the most talented receiver left on the board. I have a good amount of Garrett Wilson as well. And yeah, I just feel like when I'm doing drafts, with people, when I'm on stream, like, people are like, oh, like, here's a bring back on this guy. And I just feel like we don't even have that conversation as much anymore, even without when on Toxic Tower, we don't draft, with a Sims or anything like that. Like, we don't have that tool, but I just feel like we're not talking about week 17 as much just in general anymore as an entire, best ball community. And it's like, so are we just out on week 17 now? Or is everything that we once knew just doesn't matter anymore?
I think it's just kind of like the evolution of how strategy is discussed. And this played out in DFS as well, right? Like, it used to be stacking, like double stack. Like, you're playing a DraftKings lineup, you get the quarterback, you get the 2 wide receivers. But then, like we saw with the Sims and all of that stuff, it just became table stakes. It was like, yes, obviously you should stack. It eliminates the number of things you have to get right. I think we're at that evolution with best ball where it is just table stakes. People understand you can't overdo it with week 17 correlation, but it is a lever you can pull. It should be used as a tiebreaker. It should help you differentiate at the end of the draft. But I feel like smart drafters now just don't even feel the need to hammer it, because it's something we all either inherently do on our own or we outsource to Sims and overlays to help us do it.
Yeah, and I just feel like the conversation has switched more to roster construction because that's kind of what the big debate around the Sims is like how like look at some of these teams that they're building where it's it's 4 tight ends or it's 4 running backs. And I think that's kind of what the conversation is. Like I argue with Emo Cowboy all the time. It's like about this third tight end that I never want at in round 18 of my drafts. I think that's what the Sims has done more is have the conversation centered more around that roster construction part of it, which is obviously a huge part of how we build these teams. All right. Adams, Moore, Watson. I think I remember you saying you like Tootin on BBG's stream, but what are you thinking here? I'm good with receiver.
I mean, Adams is such a value at this spot. I mean, you look at ETR ranks, they have him as a middle of round 4 value. I understand you don't want 100% Adams. Like if you're drafting off of ETR ranks, you're going to end up with a bag of him. But when you're going to give us this guy in the middle of round 5 as both an ADP value and a massive rankings value, I think I'm content just clicking that every time.
Yeah. Also, by the way, I know I'm not hosting this show, or I'm not, I'm the sticks for the show. I do appreciate the banner saying PPR Tyler and not Tyler Knably 2032 at the bottom. I do appreciate that.
Yes. And you know what? I'm going to give you a pass on your hosting duties because you wouldn't know necessarily to do this, but I do have to do a coffee pour here for Monday morning best ball breakfast. Are you a coffee drinker, Tyler, or just, peptides?
No, it's just going to be.
That was a test to see if you would talk over the coffee pour and you passed.
I never would. I do a 200 milligram Ghost energy drink almost every morning, or First Form. First Form is usually the better one, but yeah.
Okay.
So.
All right. I should have known. But yeah, no, I love getting Adams here. I like how this squad is shaking out here as we enter the 6th round.
Yeah, now this is the point in the draft where it's like these 6th round QBs where you can it's very player take dependent, especially if we don't have any of the QBs or any of the stacking partners that go with the QBs. We do have T. Higgins to go with Joe Burrow. It's something you can do almost every draft. I don't love doing it every time, but is that something you're interested in, or is it another QB that you're thinking about here?
Yeah, you can see here. I'll even look at my stuff. T. Higgins, like I have him a fourth of the time with Joe Burrow. Like that doesn't seem like enough. I'm perfectly fine, doing the Joe Burrow thing here. Who do you prefer in a vacuum? I assume Daniels to Burrow.
Yeah, Daniels to Burrow, and I'm honestly probably Drake May over Burrow too. I think there's some rushing stuff with Drake May that's just obviously going to get a lot of people excited. And I just don't like the Burrow thing. Like he's just in theory like this guy, like he has the weekly ceiling. We've seen it. He's always hurt, and it's like the vibes around the Bengals. Like I just don't trust that things are going to be awesome there again this year. Like we think they are. The pieces are undeniable. Like we know what they can be when they're at their best. I just still have some questions about Joe Burrow when it's like, when's the last time he actually paid off his price? 3 years ago. So I'm a little skeptical there.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? Because he not only does he have to stay healthy, which, has been a struggle for him, but he does have to outproduce guys like May and Jaden Daniels and Hurts, who could just have massive years on the ground, which just aren't in the cards for him. But this is the exact spot. Like I'm underweight there. I think I showed 5% Burrow. This is the spot I want him, right? We pull up Higgins there ahead of ADP. If Higgins is like destroying this ADP, it's probably because like Jamar Chase or even Gesicki or someone got hurt and he's just getting a target uptick. Let's just play into those scenarios where he has the 30-point week 15 or week 16 game with Joe Burrow. Like that's the spot I want it in my portfolio.
Now we have a good week 17 stack to talk about as well. We can actually, bring back week 17. Maybe that should be a t-shirt. Bring back week 17.
make week 17 great again. You didn't want to go there. Yeah. It is like a logical game stack too. Sometimes we joke about the mini correlations that are kind of absurd, like running back 2 and opposing tight end, but the big dog rolling on the ground in Burrow and Higgins having to catch up in garbage time, that's a pretty logical narrative.
Oh, 100%. All right. Big Q here, top of the ranks. We also not any really stacking QBs, so we don't have to go QB2 just yet, I don't think. Any of the receivers that you love here? It's kind of a weird range. Otherwise, any of the running backs you want to pull up?
Yeah, man, I don't love this range here. I'm going to lob it back to you. Dealer's choice.
Let's go DK Metcalf then.
All right, let's do it. He has been the guy, again, you want to talk about like rankings value. Basically everywhere you look, people have him as a solid value, almost every ranking set. And it's kind of like the big dog thing again, right? We're scared about Michael Pittman being a better fit. We're scared about, Aaron Rodgers waking up in week 13 and realizing he'd rather be on a ayahuasca journey in South America, yada, yada. But do we just draft a GAM at this price, a guy that we've routinely drafted 3-4 rounds higher? Do we just plug our nose and do it?
I think we do, because if you look at Pittsburgh, everyone just is stuck on like this. Like they just think like, I think just it has like the Pittsburgh, like, we're going to run the ball, we're going to play great defense stink of it. But that's never been what these Mike McCarthy led offenses have really ever been. It's been, historically a lot of 11 personnel, a lot of passing, a lot of actually really fun, explosive plays. The last time he was a head coach was when he was with Dallas, and like they had the highest scoring offense in the entire league. So I actually think we're going to see a little bit different type of offensive, personnel groupings and strategy from Pittsburgh this year, which is going to be exciting for DK Metcalf if he can kind of be that field stretcher. Some of that Pittman, really doesn't do that well. Okay, running back here. Any of the guys you like? Otherwise, we can go a Purdy with our slot receiver and CMC. And otherwise, I'm fine clicking running back here too.
Yeah, let's do Rico or Corum. Who do you like?
Let's go Corum. I like Corum just slightly more.
Yeah, it's like Rico pairs us with Metcalf. I think, Corum's a much more fun pick to dream on there. Where are you at in the like Kyren versus Blake Corum split this year? Because that kind of is going to determine how you feel about Corum.
It's funny. I actually kind of draft both of them. Like I don't normally like backfields. I have these stands where I'm like, okay, I'll take one, maybe not so much of the other. But the Corum Kyren thing, I'm kind of just drafting both. I think Kyren's going to have, he's going to be the lead guy per se. But I think this backfield could be a little bit more 50-50 than, most people may want to admit. I mean, I think there were 3 times last year Corum outscored Kyren in games they were both healthy in. So there is a path where like, and he was actually kind of a fun prospect coming out too. I really liked him and kind of his prospect profile coming out, getting drafted in the 3rd round. So I could totally see a world where if Kyren ever gets hurt, like Corum is going to be an absolute smash. And I think there's going to be like kind of some of like those, maybe just like a better, like, I don't want to say like Tyler Algier from last year, but like he's going to have a role, have a couple spike weeks. And if anything ever does happen to Kyren, like he's going to be, a top 10 play each and every week. So
I'd mentioned Rico with Metcalf. I completely already spaced that we have Adams too. So we get the little Rams correlation there as well. I'll pull this one up for you. Angry Dragon says that you matched with his mom on Hinge there. How do you respond to those allegations?
I definitely did not, because my age range is definitely not set that high. No offense.
All right, here we got 1 quarterback, 3 running backs, 4 wide receivers.
All right. Are you thinking tight end here at all? Are you like, is this again another good range where if you have a tight end take like Laporta, Fannin, Pitts, definitely all guys that have upside? Is there one that you're like, I gotta leave this range with?
There isn't, just because this is a flatter tier for me. I really like the pit slide these days. I love the Kittle value. I would push us toward Stafford here. Do Stafford with our Rams guys. Then we have Stafford in Burrow. We can kind of decide, do we want to go 2 quarterbacks or 3 there? I think it just gives us a lot of flexibility.
Yep, I'm 100% good on Stafford.
I wanted to ask you a question because I know you've done some of the film stuff and have enjoyed leaning into that. Who would you say is the player that you've done the biggest 180 on for fantasy because of what you've seen from them on tape?
Yeah, I'll keep it away from the rookie stuff because that's kind of like, I don't really have any opinions about those guys, but that's kind of where I really dive into the film, is like watching these guys in college and like really forming, assessments off that. But the guys that I've watched on stream as of late, I would say Tank Bigsby is one where like I saw some of the numbers that were good, and I really wanted to see if the film matched the numbers, because in the like advanced metrics like yards per carry, explosive rush percentage, like he was absolutely killing it. And I was like, okay, but it's a limited amount of carries. Like, let me go back and actually watch these. And unlike some of the other guys I've watched, like Tucker, like Brian Robinson and Tyjae Spears or some of those other guys, he was the one where it's like, he did a really good job at making something out of nothing behind that Eagles O-line, where it's like, whether it's really good vision or just like, you can't get this freaking guy on the ground, he's an absolute tank, no pun intended. And like that, I think that's what really impressed me the most, considering like Saquon had troubles behind this O-line all year, and it seemed like Tank, found a little bit more success in some areas than Saquon did. All right, I'm good with George Kittle here. If you want to go tight end, adds on to our San Francisco bet. Otherwise, is there anyone else that you're absolutely need here?
No, nobody I absolutely need. I mean, we could, miss the end of this running back tier here, but I'm not too worried about it with CMC, Henry, and Corum. I want to keep loading up on Kittle at this price.
Yeah. Everyone keeps talking about how the Achilles tear, like where the stitching happened. I think it was lower down on the leg, and it's like better for recovery. Do you think what percentage odds right now you have to say he's out there running around week 1 against the Rams in Australia? What do you think the odds are that he's out there?
So I actually think it's maybe a little lower for specifically week 1. I've heard some smart people talk about it. Like, do you really want him doing that, transcontinental, flight or whatever on this? I think maybe week 2 is more likely. Everything is trending to he is going to be out on the field. I think even the people who are really skeptical about his return from injury are like, he's going to be out there. And now the narrative has shifted to like, okay, yeah, we concede he'll be out there, but how good will he be? The Taysom Hill came back and didn't look good. Cam Akers, so yada, yada. So that's what's up for debate. But I think we're going to see George Kittle on the field as early as week 2 at this rate.
Yeah, I'm really in on George Kittle at this price as well. I think the injury stuff. I mean, at this point, like an Achilles tear is literally just like a high ankle sprain. I think I think
it's a little boo boo. It's just
literally like you look at a freaking George Kittle came back from an Achilles tear before Jordan Tyson came back from a hamstring pull. Like, what are we talking about here?
Exactly. And again, George Kittle is, you tell me as the film bro, as the football coach, this is one of the most physically gifted players we have ever seen in the NFL. Like, if we're going to, treat Derrick Henry as an outlier, aren't we allowed to treat George Kittle as a physical outlier as well?
100% agree. The thing that I love about Kittle is like, it's probably the same reason people love it for, as a football coach, like this guy blocks the shit out of the C gap, which is so exciting. Like, dude, there's like a guy that is like generally one of the best receivers at his position and can block the C gap the way he does is what fires me up about Kittle. All right. Kelsey here is good if we want to go both the olds and the Hurts. Otherwise, C-Rod's fine too. I really have no lean here. I'll leave this one to you.
Let's just slurp up the Dipperino, Tyler. We'll clip Travis Kelce here, almost 17 picks past ADP. I'll let you do the honors. There you go. There you go. We kind of now have a theme on this draft, right? Like, we're drafting Gams, Derrick Henry, Garrett Wilson, T. Higgins, Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, George Kittle. This is a Gam squad.
Yeah, it's fine though. Like, age is just a number.
Oh, I have nothing against Gam squads. I'm saying, if anything, we've all gone too beta with our clicks. We are taking back the testosterone in our drafts. We brought week 17 back, and now we're bringing testosterone back.
Bring testosterone and week 17 back. Make testosterone great again.
Yeah, I will say though, there's a lot of kind of bro energy in the PPR, in the best ball space, I should say. A wise man once said that, so maybe we need to.
A lot of pop. Too much pop for your liking.
Yeah, a lot of pop. All right, let's. I need more coffee here. Shout out to the chat, special edition Best Ball Breakfast. All of you guys watching. Like I said, make sure you also check out the stream yesterday with Davis Maddock. All 5 of the touts were on there. Very fun stream. I caught up on that this morning. Got to watch all of that, and then the full schedule's posted on my Twitter. But these guys are each going to be doing solo streams. They're either scheduled for later today or tomorrow. So make sure you guys check the schedule. I'm sure they'll be tweeting them out. I'll reshare those as well. 3 different streams from each of these guys this week.
All right. On the clock here. We already got 2 tight ends. Let's see. Any of the receivers? I love Jalen McMillan. I think he's a great pick at value. Hunter's good too. Also a little week 17 with our Rams correlation on McMillan. I don't know if that's what you're into. Otherwise, I'm good with whatever you want here.
I'm sorry. A man has to stand for something. And if I'm going to be the guest, we're not taking Jalen McMillan over Travis Hunter. It sounds like you're skeptical on Hunter. Obviously, there's easy bear cases to make, but while I pour some coffee here, rev up your Travis Hunter take.
It's so funny because I love drafting for upside. It's kind of how I approach, every single room, and no one has more upside than Travis Hunter. But the guys that I'm drafting for upside, I know are going to be scoring fantasy points. There's just this mental block in my head where I'm I just don't maybe there's an injury in the cornerback room and they absolutely need him there. And if they didn't have all these receivers, if it was just Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter, I would okay, this guy to the moon. But it's this guy it's almost a bad thing for fantasy, obviously, that he can play both sides of the ball, where it's if the team needs him at corner, they're going to put him at corner. If they have one receiver injury, they're going to be fine. I think they still have, 2 other solid guys plus Brenton Strange who you can, flex out in the slot a little bit more, where it's with Hunter, if a corner gets hurt, I'm a little scared that he's just, playing corner in week 17.
To me, like those arguments are the pro Hunter arguments because we're all agreeing that there is so much volatility in what his role is. Even Shipley, the best beat reporter for the Jags, just put out a piece the other day of like buying and selling narratives. And one of his main narratives were, we do not know what Travis Hunter's role is going to be. So much is yet to be determined. So if you're going to give me the cheapest side of the band of ADP we've drafted Hunter on in the past 16 months or whatever, I want to buy that volatility at this price.
Yeah, I mean, I totally see it. Like, I definitely click him, and I'm like, oh, like if he explodes on this team, especially like the price that he's at, you can kind of afford to miss on Hunter potentially. So I do. There definitely is upside. I just saying, like me personally, I have some mental issues I need to work out with our boy Travis Hunter.
See how this works? Do you see who's available here for us?
This is why you saw this all along. You're the perfect guest.
All right,
me being a dumb host could have never predicted this.
Talk to me about McMillan. I had, a blind spot with him early on. I was definitely one of the people when, the team was raving about Ted Hurst. And it's like, is Jalen McMillan even going to be on the field in 3 wide receiver sets? I'm guessing that you do feel like he's confidently ahead of Hurst right now.
They weren't even like raving about Hurst. They're like, oh, he could be the starting X. And it's like, yeah, it's the only thing he freaking can play. Jalen McMillan came back from a neck injury last year. And he was like, oh, hey, Emeka Egbuka, I know you're having this really good season right now. You're a little banged up. Yeah, Jalen McMillan's back. You're going to go sit on the bench and see your snaps drastically decrease because Jalen McMillan is back. Like, he has been so good when he's been on the field. That rookie year that we saw, even coming back from the neck injury this year, he's, all signs are pointing to that he's completely healthy heading into 2026. I think he's going to have a real role. I think he's going to have a real, deep threat role. Now that kind of like Mike Evans is gone, I think he's going to get a lot of those Mike Evans routes as, will Emeka Egbuka. Hurst, he's still a rookie. I did like him as a prospect profile. I mean, I do think the competition that he was playing against at Georgia State in the Sun Belt, it's not all like, I'm not like super stoked where I'm like, yeah, I know Ted Hurst is going to be good. I think there's going to be a learning curve, him playing like real corners in the NFL. So I think McMillan has he's going to be like pretty much a full-time starter in 11 personnel, which is what Zach Robinson I expect to run a ton of in Tampa Bay. All right. I think it's a good spot for running back here. I'm historically not a Coleman guy. Algier, B-Rob, either of those two would be my clicks, but I'm willing to listen to other arguments.
No, I'm kind of with you. I glide over Coleman and Sharps here too. I was hoping Bigsby was going to be here after we talked about him. Let's go ahead and do Algier.
Yeah, Algier's totally fine.
Going back to the McMillan thing, I think I agree with your premise there. To me, McMillan is almost a bet. It's less a bet on McMillan and just a bet on, can Baker cook here? How do we feel about Zach Robinson coming over? Because like for McMillan to hit, we need like peak Baker, right? Where he's dishing, because Egbuka and Godwin are going to command targets. Otten isn't going away. To me, he's the guy when it's like they're hanging 35 in a game and it's like McMillan pops up for a touchdown. I think the thing that spooks me too is their involvement of the 4th wide receiver. We've seen the Tez Johnson pop up in these spots. Like maybe Hurst is good and gets rotated in. If he is in a revolving door at wide receiver 3 in the same way fucking Sean Payton was rotating little Jordan Humphrey and Marvin Mims and Troy Franklin, then all of them could be pretty big misses. Obviously, McMillan's the only one of those getting drafted regularly, but that would be my concern with him at this price.
Yeah, and like I said, I think we just go back to like I think we know this guy is good, and like I think Pat Bryant, Troy Franklin, like that kind of thing that was going on in Denver last year. I just don't think it's the same thing because McMillan, like I said, he kept Egbuka off the field. Like they wanted to go out there with McMillan, Evans, and Chris Godwin like toward the end of the season last year. So that's kind of what I'm basing mine off is like and granted it's a different offensive coaching staff coming in, but that's kind of just my slight lean in that area of the draft.
We take Algier there. Obviously, Brian Robinson, I think, is in a similar position. Are you banking on any outs for Connor getting cut? Because that's the thing that complicates the Algier stuff, right? Is if Connor is still involved in any way, and then it's like he's not just a clean RB2.
I'm just not worried about James Conner. I think he just didn't want, they restructured his contract. They didn't want, I just think he didn't want to leave Arizona. He didn't want to go somewhere else and move. I think he's still live to get caught anyways. I think he's just, he's there. He might get a couple carries a game. He's a good vet presence on the team too. I think he's just one of those locker room guys they just want to keep around. I mean, they went out and they signed Algier regardless. So I think I look at the money he's making. It's pretty apparent there. All right. What are you thinking here? Running back, AD Mitchell's good here too. Quarterback. I don't know if you're in on Mendoza at all.
Yeah, I was just saying we just got sniped on Rodgers. Do you like getting the third quarterback?
Honestly, you're the guest. It's up to you.
Let's do Sean Tucker. I think getting another running back here before it really falls off. I mean, I like some of these guys, Ray Davis, Jaden Blue, Lloyd. But Tucker, if we're going to do the Tampa Bay ancillary pieces, let's just say that it's the Sean Tucker and Jalen McMillan show here and get our 5th running back.
Yeah. You mentioned the Davis stream that we did yesterday a little bit. I don't know how much of that you caught, but
I saw it all. I've watched it all.
Okay, well, there we go. Well, so you would know then he says, I need to read more books. Would you concur with that argument that I am not, I need to read more? How much reading are you doing?
I famously do run a book club through my personal newsletter. So I try to read. I certainly have slowed down in the past few months, working on the show, being busy. There's 2 things to the, should you read? It's almost like when Cups asked me, should I do improv? Because I struggled at improv PowerPoint or whatever. Yes, you should absolutely read more books, Tyler. But what I would also say is you should also be yourself. I don't want you to pretend like you're smarter than you are. That would be the worst possible thing you could do. So Davis is both right, just for your general life and, ascending as a male figure in society, PPR, to use Clavicular's language. Yes, read a fucking book, but don't pretend you're someone you're not.
I like how you said, just be yourself. Don't be, try and be smart, PPR. You just pretty much called me dumb, but that was a really nice way to say it. So I do appreciate that.
I do know how to soften that
exactly.
there. What if we probably want to go a 3rd tight end here? It's a little early. Do you want to get like a Gesicki to get the double stack?
I'm Ferguson. If we're gonna go tight end, we can go Gesicki to stack it up. But player take wise, I'd just be Ferguson.
No, you're right. I actually zoned out on Stafford there, and I was like, come on, let's get the double stack. But guess what? Ferg. Is it? I'm just capitulating to big Davis Maddock. I mean, Davis Maddock pounding this Ferguson drum. Ferguson's going to be like a round 13 pick here in about a week if this continues.
Yeah, and I've been that's the thing. Like everyone went on his stream yesterday. I was like, let's draft Terrence Ferguson. I know you like some Terrence Ferguson, but I truly do have like a bag of Terrence just sitting in my portfolio. So I am mad that Davis, and he said he's got a video coming out about Terrence Ferguson too. It's just
I love
the normies are going to find it even faster.
I loved all of the little buttering Davis up moves. Cups comes on with the flat Diet Coke, even behind the scenes when we were scheduling this stream, over the weekend. And you said to Davis, can I pick you anything up at GNC? Everybody was pulling out the red carpet for Davis now that he was the judge.
I didn't know if he needs, maybe he needs some creatine. Maybe he needed some, I don't know, something, some HMB. I don't know.
Exactly. What is the best seller for you?
It's probably, we carry all the name, the Ghost pre-workout, the protein, that type of stuff. I would try the pre-workout that I try and push the most. It's called Pump Fuel. It's pretty good. It's pretty unreal pre-workout. It's got some carbs in there. It's got different caffeine levels too. So, non-stim, mid-stim, high-stim, where you can it's really choose your own adventure. And it's a really good pump matrix on there. So we love the Pump Fuel. All right. 2563. Let's recap his team real quick before this pick. Burrow, Stafford, Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Blake Corum, Tyler Algier, Sean Tucker, T. Higgins, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, Metcalf, Hunter, Kittle, Kelsey, Ferguson. All right. Player take wise, I think you can pick anyone here, and our build's still going to be good. Anyone that you just absolutely want to have on this team.
Nobody I absolutely want to have. I've been in a Jaden Blue phase right now. Should we tack on another running back here?
Yeah. Anytime you can take the guy who, has attitude problems on the Dallas Cowboys, you just have to.
Oh boy, here comes the football coach. You're worried about Jaden Blue's attitude from afar. You're worried about Jaden Blue's attitude last year. What can't this man grow? Have you ever seen a high school player who has had a poor attitude, who turned it around after some good coaching? Is this man not capable to do the football equivalent of reading a book as well, Tyler?
I haven't seen a football. It depends. Freshman year, they can change a little bit, but as soon as I get them as sophomores, they kind of are what they are personality-wise a little bit.
You're telling me these teenagers are fully formed humans at age 14?
Okay, but they are they are what they are. In terms of the shitheads that were still sophomores are still shitheads when they're seniors. It's not going to change. And Jaden Blue, he hasn't figured it out by now. The other thing I hate about Jaden Blue, it's if I'm going to draft a handcuff, I want to get these guys that do they have 15 carry, upside, in a given week? And yeah, look at week 18 PPR. Week 18 doesn't count. That week doesn't count. Look how many carries, Malik Davis was out too. They literally had nobody else to give carries to in that week 18. Jaden Blue, he never even got carries when he was at Texas. He was benefit of all these different injuries for Texas. It was Jonathan Brooks, TJ Baxter, all those different guys. Like, he literally has really done nothing other than be fast, like in his college career. Other than that, he's done nothing in the NFL.
So I don't think the thesis when you take Jaden Blue is even in the event of a Javonte Williams injury. Like, I am not dreaming on 15 carries there. Like, he's going to cede a little bit to Maffa or whatever Jamoke they roll out there to share some of that. The thing to me is they're already saying he is a favorite for a pass catching role there. And so if you get a guy who's going to have a floor of catching a few balls with upside contingent value, who also is fucking really fast and can rip off explosives, those are the kind of ingredients of a late round handcuff that I think have a lot of value in best ball, because you're also taking away the zero risk, which we know is such a huge thing this late in the draft.
Yeah. All right. We're 2663 build wise. I think that's probably, we're probably going last receiver here. Pick a name, anyone that stacks, anyone that you like.
You get a fun Tyquan Thornton has been one that I've been a little intrigued on lately.
Yeah, anyone by Ayuk, honestly, Thornton's good here. Speaking of guys who haven't changed, is Fran Ayuk.
Yes. I capitulated today. I write the newsletter, Fantasy Life newsletter, 5 days a week. I just like some of these stories I just like put off writing about. And I'm like, I'm not going to write about Ayuk. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And then yesterday, this dude is like saying, I'm not coming back, but I can't wait to go play football. And basically admitted that the Niners can hold him hostage for as long as he doesn't reinstate and come back to camp. And I basically just had my blood boil, and I was like, all right, I'll fucking write about this dude. Do not draft him unless you're in a redraft league, in which case you could cut him if it doesn't work out.
Yes, 100%. And like, again, if this guy, you tell me this guy, read a couple books, his life's going to change. I don't think so, Peter. I don't fucking think so.
Brandon Ayuk does not strike me as someone who's reading any books right now. Although I do feel like AJ Brown could probably ship him some of his, self-help motivational books to get through a trying time like this.
Yeah. Hey, I wouldn't be a good host if we didn't recap his team real quick.
No, we got some time here. I think this draft is actually still wrapping up here. Also, as I toggle over to try to find the team, do you notice that I have entered slow draft hell?
I have never done one slow draft in my life.
What? You've never done one even?
No. Because this has been my whole sidekick take for the whole time. Like, one of the reasons I don't like drafting with the sidekick is I like to be able to fucking think for myself, is one, and B, I actually enjoy the art of drafting. It's like a puzzle every day. It's like, it gets like my brain, activity going in terms of like, I have so many different things to think about. I like drafting. I don't like I just like sitting down and ripping, it's like a cigarette break for me. I rip down and I do one draft right there. I don't want to take, continual puffs of a cigarette for the next 3 weeks. That does nothing for me. I need to see the team, and I need it right goddamn now.
Dude, I love that, right? Because us non-smokers, we've essentially been persecuted within the workforce, within the job environment. These smokers get to go take a 15-minute break. It is time us best ball bros get to go outside, buy the trash can out back, and make a few slow draft picks as well. You smoke your cig. I get to put together this beautiful puzzle piece of a draft there. Although when you say puzzle piece, is it just like one giant Jalen McMillan piece that you just put in the middle of the puzzle every single time over and over again?
No, it's usually Jalen Coker is the puzzle. He's the only. It's so perfect too for me because I'm just so in on the player. But like, he goes in a range where it's like there's not a lot of other receivers in that range, so it's like it's almost always Coker. But yeah, man, it's like, and also too, screw these like slow drafters who are max entering the Dalmatian, the little Dalmatian. It's like, I'm trying to do my 101 drafts. Like, I don't multi-table. I sit down and I do one draft. Like, I've drafted probably like 10 hours straight, and I maybe got like 15 in, and like people are just, let me max enter like Alex Cuffs. Let me max enter 100.
Wow, is this there's been a lot of shots fired in this competition for lots of different reasons. I've heard it all now. Fuck you, Alex Cups, for entering 101 $2 slow drafts. That's where we're at.
The big bankroll guys out of the Dalmatian. Make it a fast draft only contest, so us poors can enjoy the $1 sentiment of what the integrity of this contest means. It's unbelievable.
Dude, right. I think you are. Well, we'll recap that. We still got it. We got a couple minutes here. You're fine. Yeah, we got to 45. I think you need to embrace the slow draft life. I think when you're on the clock at GNC, you go out and you take your smoke break. I think when the fellas, these uncoachable, fully formed human beings, these sophomores, are taking their water break, hey, Coach PPR Tyler takes a little water break, makes a few picks on his phone. I think the way this slots into your life is actually perfect, and you should stop resisting this.
That's you made one mistake there. Is my players don't get water. Water is for washing blood off that uniform, and you don't get no blood on my uniform.
God, you are such a hardo. You are such a hardo. I love it. I love it. All right, recap this fucking PPR, Tyler.
All right, we got Joe Burrow, Matthew Stafford, Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Blake Corum, Tyler Algier, Sean Tucker, Jaden Blue, who has great attitude, T. Higgins, Garrett Wilson, Devonta Adams, DK Metcalf, Travis Hunter, Jalen McMillan, Tyquan Thornton, George Kittle, Travis Kelce, and Terry first. Some good week 17 on here. Like we mentioned, we got the Baltimore with Cincinnati again with a game script that could actually play out, not, a couple injuries that we're hoping for the RB2 and the tight end 3, as you mentioned at the top of the show. And then we also have the Rams Tampa Bay thing where we have McMillan, we got Sean Tucker, and then we have our Rams stack on there too. So I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, like you said there, I get the solver report up here. We got the big dog opposite Joe Burrow. I love when you do get the week 17 correlation opposite your main stacks, right? It's like we need Burrow and Stafford to cook. Week 17, all right, let's get those game environments there that make it work. The chat seemed to not like this team initially. I saw some bad reviews in the middle rounds. I don't know, man. I like this team here. Sure, does it have a locker room issue with Jaden Blue? Absolutely. Like if we can get past that, though, I think we can do some damage.
Yeah, keep this guy away from the core 5 running backs of our team, and they're gonna be better for it. That's what a guy like James Conner is there for. Like you need those guys that are just gonna bring a good vibe to a certain room. You don't want to cancer like Jaden Blue or Brandon Ayuk in a room. And everyone hates the teams I draft, but you know what? I don't care. I don't care about your comments. I draft the teams I want to draft.
No, I mean, you generally draft shitty teams, but here today with me, I was able to keep you on the rails and we drafted a good one. I don't know, Bobby, here's the thing, brother. I'm open to constructive criticism. You got to say why. You got to say why, because I look at this team. I think we got the correlation. I think we have enough running back points up top. I think we have some juice late. I mean, maybe one criticism, we don't have the quintessential rookie wide receiver. You can't win Best Ball Mania without a rookie wide receiver, Tyler.
Yeah, so I've heard. And you also can't win Best Ball Mania without being on this show. So hopefully that, has some good luck for us too. I think his problem with this team is that it does not have Charlie Kolar on it. It's not a sidekick, primo. You can tell which teams are sidekick and which teams are not. This team obviously not a sidekick. It only has 3 tight ends instead of the typical 5.
Even as you say that, I feel a little chilly not having the Kohler Bear on this roster. He is really the one who ties it all together. Yeah. Someone said this team didn't need a 6th running back. This team didn't need a 3rd quarterback. It didn't need an 8th wide receiver. It didn't need a 4th tight end. But I was intrigued by 4 tight ends with Gesicki there at the end as well.
Yeah. Well, no, you took Ferguson over Gesicki. Or are you talking about after that pick?
After that, like just do double it up on those guys. Yeah. PPR, let the people know, when are you doing your solo stream?
Yeah, so I'm going to be doing it tomorrow. It's Thursday, at 8:45 p.m. Central, 9:45 p.m. Eastern time. Going to be doing it on the Toxic Tower YouTube channel. Emos is tonight, so make sure you tune into that. I'm sure he'll promo that later in the show as well. But yeah, solo stream tomorrow, 9:45 p.m. Eastern on the Toxic Tower YouTube channel. Figured we'd do it on that channel. Just, he brought me back and everything. We're feeling good about that. So I thought, he'll get a couple extra dollars.
Negotiations to the negotiations, I'm sure, are always happening.
Yeah, he'll get a couple extra dollars from me doing that stream. Obviously, I'm going to pull more viewers than him because I'm a bigger draw. So we will, I'll bestow my presence on the Tower YouTube channel where he will see some of that money.
Yeah, have you worked all that out? I helped put Emo in touch with my accountant. This is not a bit earlier this offseason because he's like, man, our tower finances are getting pretty entangled here. And I was like, I have a guy, but I did also have to prep my accountant. I'm like, if you go into business with these 3, make sure you're just dealing with one of them. I don't want you to have to become a marriage counselor in the process of also sorting their finances.
Well, here's the thing about that. So BBG and Emo in the group chat are, they're talking the business stuff. I have no idea what any of the shit that they're talking about. Like, I have no idea what, like, they're using words I've never heard of. Shocking. I know. We were when Sanderson was on the tower, I was asking him, how do you convert, how do you pay for things in Canada with US dollars? I didn't know how that worked. So I sent a voice memo in the chat as they're like in the midst of, talking about what Roth IRAs. I don't think that's what they were using, but that's a financial term I've heard a couple times. So
you guys are setting up backdoor Roth IRAs and retirement plans for Toxic Tower.
Things of that nature. I send a voice memo in the chat. I'm like, hey, I have no idea what you guys are talking about, but just whatever you need to do, I sign off on it. Please do not Jerry Heller me. Please do not fuck me over. Please, God. That's all. That's
somehow this like ends up with the Toxic Tower having an offshore banking account in the Cayman Islands to funnel hundreds of dollars of YouTube revenue, post-tax or pre-tax over there. Incredible stuff, PPR. Thank you for joining me here today. We will catch you on the solo stream, and welcome back to So You Think You Can Tout.
Glad to be back, Peter. Thank you.
All right, there he goes, bringing up to the stage one Mr. Tony Squares, fresh off a trip to Seattle. I guess less of a trip and more of a residency. You are here to host me in a draft. I am going to hand you the proverbial reins. Let's hang out for the next 45 minutes, sir.
I'm pumped, man. I don't know how I followed that machismo and grace that was PPR Tyler. That guy is a mile a minute, absolute fun. The fact that he doesn't believe high schoolers can change from sophomore year to senior year, it boggles my mind. But hey, I'm happy he's a high school coach telling him to wash the blood off the uniform, not have water in the mouth. We're very different people. We're going to have a very different draft. Peter, I was thinking about this because I am the so-called host of this next 45 minutes here. And it could be just because I just watched The Godfather for maybe the 72nd time in my life. And I kind of want to use you as my consigliere here because I'm very much new to the best ball streets. I'm a redraft guy. I'm a dynasty guy. I love guillotine leagues. But these best ball little tricks of the trade, I learned a lot with Davis Maddock. And when we draft this team here, I want to go in there and get the guys I want. But at the same time, I want that little angel and or devil on my shoulder to tell me maybe some good things, some bad things about these players, guide me in the right direction. Do you believe you'd be a peacetime consigliere or better as a wartime consigliere?
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. I think one of the fun things, and it's kind of like when, the Touts did the Tout Twist or you guys did the debate tournament. It is fun for me. I like to play the devil's advocate or give the bear case. I do shows where on Ship Chasing, a lot of us feel the same way at a player. And sometimes it's like, all right, let me give some pushback to this. Let me be there. So, maybe if we're finding ourselves, too overconfident in a selection together, maybe I'll just pivot, be a little devil over there. Or maybe I feel like you're being too hard on one of my guys. And then I got to be an angel and got to coach him up. But yeah, I'll be whatever you want me to be in this draft. And we are in a Best Ball Mania draft. This is my 73rd draft here with Tony Squares.
Oh my goodness, 73 best ball drafts. Let's make this one a winner. Let's have some return on investment here because at the same time, I remember one of the debate topics was, would you rather have a tout that was entertaining or actually gave you stuff that you could get some money back on? I'm trying to win some money in these best ball drafts. Tried to do it with Davis, been trying to do it with Best Ball Blizzy and Rickadoozle on their streams. Excited to dive into this one, although this is the first time I believe I'm drafting from the 9 spot. Is there anyone here that you're hoping to fall to you at the 9 spot when you're in this position, Peter?
I would say I'm pretty boring in this range in that I'm pretty good taking best available. I'll say the one guy I'm just not fully sold on is the guy who's always generally here, and it's Justin Jefferson. I feel like I see the upside scenarios for him, but if we look at round 1 players that have pretty new variables, it's basically Genty, who has a new quarterback, and it's Jefferson, who has a new quarterback. All the other round 1 picks are pretty steady assets. I do think Justin Jefferson is the best wide receiver in football, but I also think there's a lot of things, whether it's Addison continuing to be good, Jawan Jennings commanding targets, Kyler struggling, whatever. There's just some variables there that don't make him the smash pick for me.
I'm right there with you. And when we're in between these two players, it's an easy pick for me. It's CeeDee Lamb. Like I am so out on the Kyler Murray experience. I don't think JJ McCarthy is going to be the starter there. And I don't think Justin Jefferson, while he is the best wide receiver in the league, CeeDee Lamb is a guaranteed quarterback in Dak Prescott. I think he's one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league, as consistent as can be. So I will gladly take CeeDee here and take that stand. Where are you on how Dallas will sort of rebound as this great offense with a porous defense? Do you think they have a chance to kind of make some waves? Because I think this offense could be on fire this season.
Is it? Yeah, I think that, isn't that the perfect recipe? It's like, we actually want your defense to be kind of poor, right? Like be in shootouts, be hemorrhaging points. It's kind of what the Bengals have been like, for the past half decade, where it's like the defense just sucks and Burrow has to chuck it 50 times a game. That's what even takes the air out of the ball sometimes for the Rams, right? These balanced teams. And you're like, I don't want your defense to be good. I want my quarterback dropping back. So yeah, I'm all in on the passing game again. as I was arguing with PPR Tyler there, I want some shares of the running backs.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lamb, Pickens, Dak, like I'm ready for it again.
I am too. And I'm mad Amari and Hampton's gone because that's one of the running backs I would like to pair here. But I kind of like going off the board and going full wide receiver on these two picks. Are you doubling down on a wide receiver early and begging for running backs later? Do you hate that strategy?
I don't love it. I would prefer, like I do, if Kenneth Walker was gone, I'd maybe be more open to it. I think we lock up Kenneth Walker here. The thing,
let's do it.
Squares, and I know Davis talked about this a little bit with Cup yesterday as well, when Cups was like, let's grab Bucky Irving there. And Davis made the really good point. Like, if you're doing one draft, two drafts, like go get your guys. It really doesn't matter. If you're drafting hundreds of these teams, you do have to respect the market, specifically up top here a bit. And basically what would happen is if you always took that stance, you're like every time CD with London, every time CD with AJ Brown, you would just put your portfolio in a really fragile spot there. And so I want to get those picks at value. Like you can get the London with JSN. The question I could go back to you would be, or maybe your counter would be, well, I want some Lamb London pairs. It's just, do you do that every single time and thumb your nose at the market?
No, that's kind of my questioning here, because I'm looking at these best ball drafts and I'm learning it's a lot like a stock portfolio, and you want to diversify those elements here. If you have every team that has the CD and Drake stuff and one of those doesn't work out, then your whole portfolio crashes. So when you're building these teams, Peter, I know it's a lot dependent on where the spot is at the beginning of this of these drafts, but are you really hammering a few, even if it's your guy? If you think out of the top 12 picks, this is the one guy that stands out above the rest, do you still diversify and step away from that just so you can spread the ball out a little bit?
Yeah, and like I have my favorites, right? Like in this range, I prefer Walker and Barkley and Genty. And so I'm lighter on Chase Brown and Hampton. But it's this thing, right? Everyone wants you to talk in absolutes. It's way more interesting to be like, oh, Martin Hampton's going to flop. This is Keaton Mitchell, or Kamani Vidal's going to eat into it. People want you to talk in absolutes, but it's like there's ranges of outcomes, right? Hampton obviously has the talent and the ceiling to smash this year. I just find him to be a little bit more of a risky bet than I do a guy like Walker or Barkley here.
With this type of build that we're looking at right now, I know Malik Neighbors getting our love. I love the high floor of Kyren Williams. I do. I think that's a smash pick at this position. I think that guy's going to be just fine in the LA Rams. I'm not scared of Blake Corum at all. How do you feel about that Rams running game? Because I think you guys just took Corum with Tyler, right?
Yes, we did. That's the same thing. I would prefer to have more Corum than Kyren, but what else is well within the range of outcomes? Well, it's just a price thing, right? And you see how things have been moving, and it's how stubborn do you want to be? Is it just, this is business as usual, Kyren holds off Corum and it's the same movie for the third year in a row? Or do we continue to see Corum wrestle more away from him because he is a more efficient runner? I think they still trust Kyren way more in pass protection. I think they trust him at the goal line. That's the reason he's going 6 rounds ahead. But that gap to me in just how things are moving, it does make me intrigued with Corum, and I kind of want to tilt my bets there a little bit more.
From what I've seen in Corum, I'm mad Malik Neighbors just went, but from what I see in Corum, man, I just trust the consistency of Kyren Williams. We have a bunch of running backs here on top. Do you ever want to dip and go get one of these scary Terry Mike Evans guy, or do we just take the guy off the top with a Josh Jacobs? Or you like Luther Burden?
Yeah, let's do Luther Burden here. I mean, the one conversation I think would have been from a correlation standpoint, and I've done this, do we want to pair CeeDee Lamb with Javonte? You can see here in my solver data, 44% of my CeeDee Lamb teams, almost half of them, also come with Javonte.
Interesting.
Right, because you think about it, right? Are there scenarios where Lamb smashes and Javonte doesn't? Absolutely. But there's also just the macro bet of the Dallas Cowboys are one of the best offenses in football this year. Javonte doesn't get injured, and he falls into the end zone 15 times again, or whatever. And so that team level correlation, I think, is really powerful. But I also think it's fun to pull this up from a portfolio standpoint. It would be like, how miserable would you be if Javonte Williams sunk all of these good CeeDee Lamb teams, right? You don't want them paired together. I want some Jaden Blue with him as well. And so this gets back to the portfolio thing of how you want to show some humility and understand how various scenarios could play out. And you want your portfolio to be resilient to that volatility.
I am full with you on being resistant to the volatility because to me, I think everyone is drafting Javonte at his absolute ceiling where he is right now, and I don't believe he is going to replicate word for word what he did last season because I don't believe that offensive line is built to run the football as much as they are built to pass protect, and that's what they want to do with Dak Prescott. I also think they spread that wealth out a little bit more, and I don't think Javonte is the volume back that he was that first season. I think there's going to be a little bit more trust in the Jaden Blues of the world to give a little bit of different spices in the backfield there. But I hear you on pairing him with CeeDee. That's the first touch of Luther Burden I've had, though. So why did Luther Burden jump to the top for you? Is that just an ADP grab, or you just don't like the older men behind him?
I think there were a lot of different ways you could go here. Honestly, we probably should have. You're the Packers guy. We should have had the Jacobs conversation. Like Jacobs round 4, I think would have been there. But yeah, I get a decent amount of Evans a little bit later in round 4. Burden, this is just the price you have to pay for him. He's another guy I think I'm ultimately going to be a little lighter on. But again, man, I see the upside scenarios. I see the Jameson Williams
see the vision
type week to week upside on him. And people are excited about the Bears, man, but we do have to pay a pretty penny for it.
I also see the vision in DJ Moore in Buffalo, and I know that's a pretty boring name when it comes to these best ball streets, but I just think Josh Allen has been begging for a weapon here. I am not on the Bucky Irving train. I am not on the Carnell Tate train, but if you want to make a decision here, DJ Moore is on the top of the board to me.
Yeah, I'm good with it here. DJ Moore and Bucky both right around ADP here. We can grab DJ Moore as the third wide receiver. He's another interesting one who he's almost always paired with Josh Allen. Like the Josh Allen drafter takes him in round 4. They come back around and take DJ Moore here. Josh Allen actually went in round 3 in this one, and this drafter passed on DJ Moore twice, which is kind of interesting. He's another guy, man, where it's like, I think in most scenarios, he probably isn't the best pick in this range, but in the scenarios where Allen and this offense does tilt just a little bit more pass heavy, a little less, Josh Allen, Superman at the goal line. Can we get the big explosive plays from DJ Moore? Again, like the ceiling scenarios, these two breaking fantasy a week in the fantasy playoffs. Like, could you have the week where Josh Allen drops 40 and DJ Moore has 30? Absolutely. I can see that ceiling case.
I just think Josh Allen has been begging for a wide receiver like DJ Moore, and I think there's going to be a little bit of a better relationship there than he had. And I love taking the tight end off the top here with Tyler Warren. I want to get one of these top 5 tight ends. That's been my stance this whole entire time. I don't want to wait for Tucker Kraft in the next round unless you think we should go QB.
You do love some Tyler Kraft there. No, we can do Warren. The thing I was debating is we have Luther Burden. Do we want to pull up Caleb? But man, it feels really bad taking Caleb over Jaden Daniels, over Drake May. We also have the backstop of Dak Prescott with CeeDee Lamb. So I don't mind their taking the foot off the gas as far as quarterback and being a little patient.
No, I'm right there with you, and I understand the stacking potential of Caleb Williams there. I do think Dak can return. We're going to see a sea of purple go, as we saw Joe Burrow, Drake May. We're going to see that go, so they might both be gone. But I think getting a top 5 tight end is more important than getting one of these QBs in this range right here. I think there's a huge drop after Kraft to the rest of them, to the Fannons, to the George Kittle coming off the injury. And I think Tyler Warren, if we can get the first few weeks of Tyler Warren when Daniel Jones finally hits his stride again, he was unbelievable. He's one of the best fantasy assets in all of sports, and we're getting it in the 6th round. But how much Tyler Warren do you have in your packages?
I think it was I was at like 6%. I think when I looked at it just there, my case against Tyler Warren, and again, this is a very best ball bro thing. It really doesn't have anything to do with Tyler Warren. It's the fact that I think some of the best values across the draft board are tight ends right now. And I do like Tucker Kraft, who Tyler said I did a portmanteau of Tucker Kraft and Tyler Croft there accidentally. I love the price on Kittle in Pitts there. I think Andrews and Goddard are awesome values. I love the late round tight end builds where you're correlating, your Ottens and your Barners with the quarterback. So the only thing that I think about when I take Warren is just, man, I'd rather keep some extra tight end slots in my back pocket for later in the draft. But you don't want to over-index on that because then you end up with 0% Tyler Warren. So I like him. I like betting on the Colts without Pittman and what Warren and Downs could do picking up those extra targets. But structurally, I tend to prefer the quarterback in this range.
I'm happy Davis is in the chat because I do have something to say about Tucker Kraft, but let's make this pick first. So is Caleb really going to make this fall right now? Because either way, we're one pick away. We have Caleb or Dak coming to us.
Yeah, man. Caleb, this like sneaking in the tight end. Like if you would have told me, hey, we can get both Warren and Caleb, I would say absolutely. And that's exactly what happens here.
This Packers fan just drafted a Caleb Warren, Luther Burden stock. Don't say you can't be you can't express yourself in various ways. Davis Maddock, he said he wasn't trying to pull one over on me when he showed Tucker Kraft last year had the yards after catch reception.
Yeah, he hit you with the
backs.
running back screener. Yeah.
And he was right. That was like amazing that was the stat, and he doesn't believe he can replicate it. Davis, press previous season, my guy, because Tucker Kraft was 13th in the league the year prior, and he was only 1 yard less than he had the year before. And people grow. Unlike what PPR Tyler said about his sophomores, people do grow. And I do believe Tucker Kraft can replicate that 10.1 yards after catch per reception in this Green Bay offense, but that's beside the point. Caleb Williams, we got on this. I'm very happy about it. Is there a chance you would want to double down should Dak fall as well and get the double stack?
Yeah, man. I actually think that would work perfect. It's another ADP value. It's stacked up, different bye weeks. There's no other player here I'm begging to add. Look at this dude. Falls into our lap again.
Love it. Love it. The people like this draft. The people want Tony Squares to win this contest, win some money for Peter. So I love this. Tucker Kraft, Caleb Williams, and Dak Prescott. I couldn't read that as fast as it came up. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, this is Fantasy Football Garage says this is a good team to take Tyler Warren because you can aim for Caleb or Dak stacks and not needing the QB 3 through 6 guys. So it takes the pressure off of like, we don't have to reach for a Daniel Jones. Once you get these guys here, we now have this balance build where we have upside at running back, upside at wide receiver. The thing we're betting on, right, is Burden ascends to wide receiver 1. DJ Moore is the clear wide receiver 1. Tyler Warren, could he be the de facto wide receiver 1 there? And then we stack it up with Caleb and Dak. We now have max flexibility to just take best player available the rest of the draft, and we don't have to chase anything positionally.
Well, I was going to bring that up because we do have CD, Luther, and DJ as a wide receivers. Love Tyler Warren. Just got Caleb and Dak, but we have left the mantle of running back just to Kenneth Walker and Kyron Williams, who should be the bell cow backs for their teams. Do you think that's something we should focus on, though? Because it's not necessarily a hero RB build.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we need Walker and Williams to stay healthy in this build. I think, though, with those 2 backs there, again, I don't feel panicked. I think we can fill out a 5 running back build, grabbing guys in the double digits there. Like at pick 105, I'm not like, we're fucked if we don't get another running back. I mean, there's this concept, with the best ball that I do think is like a good kind of mantra of just draft like you're right. It's kind of a cliche that I actually haven't heard discussed quite as much lately, but it's like, you can't, once you make the pick, it's like, I'm no longer worried about Kyron Williams in the reality of this draft. Normally I am, but once he's on our team, this is the Kyron Williams year, buddy. Like lock and load. Like let's now draft as if Kyron Williams scores 17 touchdowns.
So let's see what's left on the board then. If we're not going to go fully, I do like Manungai. I did this with Davis too. I think that's a guy who could be a starter in Chicago and get the bulk of the carries there. This is the middle of the road tight end land with the Fannin and the Kyle Pitts and the George Kittle. Kenny Gainwell, also a hell of a player. I'm out on Jacoby Myers myself. Oh, my guy. I mean, this is a little bit earlier than his draft position, but do we bring up a Wan'Dale Robinson here? How do you feel about Wan'Dale in Tennessee?
Dude, you mentioned Kyle Manungai right away. We need running backs. We have Caleb Williams. Let's take Manungai. One of the other kind of fun things that I like doing in best ball drafts is the backup running back with the quarterback, because you potentially get the double whammy. What if Swift gets hurt? What if Swift misses time? 1, Manungai's going to get more touches, but 2, could the team throw more because they have less horses? So you get a double benefit there, pass a little more, plus Manungai goes from what? With no Swift, he becomes a round 5 value. So let's play and kind of compound the benefits of that stack.
This is the consigliere coming in the clutch. This is, I was leaning a different way. Wan'Dale might come back to us on the turn. Manungai with Caleb Williams. This is the consigliere. Peacetime, wartime. We haven't decided yet, but he's there. And do we still have the availability of Wan'Dale Robinson? We do. I like Wan'Dale over Harold Fannin, unless you want to talk me off of that.
No, Fannin is a little bit more of an ADP value, which I'm a sucker for, but we're also getting a little light here at wide receiver. The solver has Wan'Dale Robinson as the best pick for us. Let's grab our wide receiver 4. I will be the devil on the shoulder with Wan'Dale, and you can tell me why it's not an issue. My fear with Wan'Dale Robinson, this is a guy that we've previously drafted, even last year, like round 16, round 17. He's an afterthought. They have neighbors, can dart throw, yada, yada. All this guy does is earn targets like throughout his career. He has been very good at doing that. Now we go to a situation there. He has a new Malik Neighbors and Carnell Tate, who they drafted very highly. He also has to contend with a Calvin Ridley. Like, he wasn't having to deal with a veteran presence who could command targets at a Ridley level in New York. I'm just worried if the entire thesis, the house of cards for Wan'Dale Robinson, is these projectable targets. What happens if a few go to Tate, a few go to Ridley, a few go to Gunnar Helm, and all of a sudden he's averaging 6 targets a game instead of 9, and we're like, why the hell did we just take that guy at 112?
If that was the case, I don't think they would have paid him $70 million in free agency to bring him there. He's the most money they gave in free agency was to Wan'Dale Robinson. And so I believe with Brian Daboll coming over, he said, I need that guy. And Wan'Dale had 140 targets last year while Malik was hurt. He also had 140 targets when Malik had his crazy-ass rookie season as well. So the numbers might not advance him to I think he was wide receiver 12 in full PPR last year. I don't think he's going to be that high, but I do think the targets are going to be as much there in this focal point of the offense, especially when they need to move the change for those little third down and get to the sticks. I think Wan'Dale's a huge facet. I don't think Carnell Tate's going to be a real focal point as well. But as for anyone else on that team, Calvin Ridley, Gunnar Helm, I think Wan'Dale is the clear wide receiver 2 on this team and a real best friend to Cam Ward, because Brian Daboll will teach the offense through Wan'Dale to the rest of the guys. But that's my opinion looking at it from a bird's eye view.
Yeah, and I think the thing is like, you know, it goes back to, could I engineer my perfect draft? If I just went through and gave you my favorite picks in each round, Wan'Dale Robinson is not on that list. But when we say we're going to take Tyler Warren, we're going to get 2 quarterbacks here, because we passed on a lot of wide receivers in that range. We could have taken a Josh Downs. We are basically saying, how do we make this team work? We're going to need some targets. We're going to need some production here. I consider it, you know, as my friend John Warner says, an eat your vegetables pick. I am unmoved by Wan'Dale Robinson. I do not get warm butterflies in my stomach. I don't think we're going to draft Wan'Dale Robinson in round 4 next year because he breaks out, but I know what he does, and I think that serves us on this team.
I think it really helps. I think it really helps if some of our wide receivers have a down week. So we're 2 picks away here. We need to kind of build out the team a little bit more. Are you trying to, that's what I was looking at too with Ferguson there. Are you trying to reach for a Tyler Warren backup here, try to get a Fergie on the team because we have CD, because we have Dak? Do you think Fergie's an automatic slay? Oh, he just got taken, didn't he? No,
he's here. I'm torn between Mason and Ferguson. Ferguson stacks up. Mason is a guy I'm getting pretty high on if we want to get another running back past ADP. Let's do the Fergie. Value. You want Fergie?
Okay. I do want Fergie.
Ooh. Okay. We'll go. It's very close. We went Ferguson there. Here's my thought. Again, I like the double stack with Dallas, so I'm never going to complain about that. Mason is a guy, and maybe it's because I just wrote about him in the newsletter, but the beat reports on him have been really solid. I know I was listening to ADP chasing last night. I know the leg up guys have moved Jordan Mason up in their ranks. Things seem to be trending really well for him. He's going to be a riser in ADP over the next couple weeks, month, I really think. So getting him at pick 129 here, when I do think he's going to be a pick, I don't know, 105, 100, that was kind of a CLV play of like, let's lock in some cheap Jordan Mason before it gets more expensive.
You know, I wish I heard my consigliere before we were on the clock. I should have asked you earlier to break out this board so we could debate a few of these players here. But the rest of the players that are available, you have Rodriguez starred for Jacksonville. What about Rashid Shaheed as well? The debate between those two. Yeah,
I like both of these guys. Rodriguez is another guy where he should not be slipping this far past ADP. ADP 128. So the Rodriguez stuff, the reason he slipped initially is because of the foot injury. We are going to take Rodriguez here.
Okay.
He was slipping because everyone's like, all right, he's got the foot thing. What happened with this procedure? Full steam ahead for Bashal Tutin. I like Tutin, but I will say right now, there being an 86 pick gap between Tutin and Rodriguez is pretty crazy. And they're not only saying that Rodriguez is going to be ready for the season, but he's going to be ready for camp. Like, the injury concerns about Rodriguez have mostly evaporated in the 1B. Even the 1B in a Liam Cohen offense that's going to have a ton of goal line opportunities is a very valuable pick. And guess what? I hate to say it as a Tutin guy myself. There's a very good chance he's actually the 1A to start the season. And so I think you got to fuck around and find out with C-Rod at these prices.
So then with that term, because I made you go with Ferguson instead, we end up getting Ferguson, Rodriguez. We probably could have gone Mason and Goddard because Goddard was still available. Which of those tag teams would you have preferred now that we saw how the board fell to us?
That's a good question, man. I always love doing the 2v2 things there. I think I think this is the play. I think it is because those two, we don't have a correlated piece, right? On the Goddard and Mason.
Yep.
And so we get the Ferguson double stack. We are already on the Dallas Cowboys train. We get C-Rod there. One other note about the Cowboys, and I actually included this in the Fantasy Life newsletter today. So I actually want to pull up this stat. It was a tweet from Pat Thorman about, he writes an annual column about pace expectation for which teams are going to play fast, which ones are going to play slow. And he actually highlighted the Chargers in a Mike McDaniel offense as a team that's going to be lower in pace. And the Cowboys, he has up in pace here as one of the fastest teams there. And so if we're betting on Dak and we're betting on this team to play fast, score a lot of points, the defense is bad, like, yeah, get us the tight end there. So I even though I wanted Mason, I think you put us in a better spot there.
I mean, I love the Ferguson angle with Dak too, even if we didn't have the whole Dallas Cowboy bill. But we are on the clock right now. Out of these people that are left, I do love some Jonah Coleman, but I do want to look at the wide receivers too. Denzel Boston, I've been getting everywhere. I do love Denzel Boston myself. So, which rookie are you throwing your hat in the ring for?
I like Denzel. I'm good with that. Let's also put Flournoy in the queue and just really rip it in on the Dallas Cowboys here. But Boston has been a guy I love adding in this range. I think it could be slow going for him in this offense, but just his profile, I think it sets up as a guy who could spike for some touchdowns. That's going to be a skill set, big bodied guy in the red zone. So if they can get the quarterback stuff figured out, some comps I would have for him fantasy wise, remember like rookie year Chase Claypool, who was just this big guy that came on at the end of his
Mapletron, of course. I remember Mapletron. I had that guy on my fantasy team that rookie year. I was hoping for more. I was ready. He was my keeper.
For sure. All right, back on the clock here.
Yeah, Flournoy, you wanted to throw the Dallas stack, the double Dallas stack out there. Let's keep going.
I think you're right. I think that's the play. We're at 4 running backs, 5 wide receivers. We do need to catch up at wide receiver. And look, we have made our bed, and it involves Jerry Jones. We are now in the business of sleeping with Jerry Jones and this squad he put together. Let's just continue this with Ryan Flournoy.
Let's recap the team real fast because we are only a couple picks away from it finishing. Where are we on the board? There we go. So we started out with CeeDee Lamb, paired him up later with a double running back of Kenneth Walker and Kyron Williams. Then we went back to the wide receiver. Well, 2 wide receivers I haven't had a lot of in my draft so far: Luther Burden and DJ Moore. Tyler Warren, one of the top 5 tight ends I need to get on my team. And then this is where the draft really came into shape with Caleb Williams and Dak Prescott falling to us. We're building off the backs of who we drafted already. Kyle Monangai, one of my favorite RB2s to take because I think he's a real RB1. Peter hates the Wan'Dale Robinson pick, but that guy's the foundation of this team. He is helping support the pillars of hope as we keep moving forward. Jake Ferguson, Chris Rodriguez, little tag team there to help out the Dak stack. And then we go Denzel Boston, who I think is going to be on the field all the time for Cleveland, along with Flournoy, a guy I've never drafted in my entire life, but we're only drafting because we are Jerry Jones descendants here. That's what we got going on. Only a couple picks left, Peter. Are there any Turd Ferguson picks like Davis Maddock has, a guy that you're getting every single time in these late rounds?
Well, it's funny we talk about it, right? Because my go-to late round click has been Jaden Blue, and he might complete. Tony, we talked, there's stacks, there's double stacks, and then there are onslaughts. And this might be a Dallas Cowboys onslaught kind of team here.
So with us being 2 picks away, I'm not. Where is Jaden Blue? How early is too
we don't
early
have to do him
Jaden
now.
Blue? Yeah, I was going to say.
We can look at him in the 17th. Yeah, we don't have to do it with one of these next 2.
Wanted to make sure. So who we? I do love Antonio Williams. I've been high on him all season long, and I'd rather take him than anyone else on here, unless you want to go with a different position.
No, the only other thing would be running back if we wanted to go like Dylan Sampson with a Denzel Boston, but Antonio Williams, you get a little week 17 correlation there. Opposite are Chris Rodriguez. We got to get the token rookie. He's actually sliding past ADP here. I do think with the specter of Ayuk looking less and less likely in Washington,
100%.
It strengthens the Williams bet. You could also just say, hey, they might bring back Debo. They might sign Diggs, and then all of a sudden Williams looks a little overvalued again. But I don't mind it here in this range.
And then are you still thinking running back is our weakest position? Should we reach for one of the rookies there too? Or do you want to just take a Dylan Sampson? Because I do love the kid out of Kansas City, especially with Kenneth Walker already on the team.
Yeah. I don't know if I love the Johnson and Walker just because I think Emmett Johnson is likely a zero if Kenneth Walker stays healthy all year.
Word.
The other thing I would point us to is like we're probably going to miss out on a third tight end that we like if we don't take one here. So we could do a Dulcich, Otten, or Turd here as well.
Let's go with Turd Ferguson. We'll make Davis happy. Let's go with Turd Ferguson. Let's build up the Turd Ferguson profile.
I can't believe that. It's like this was supposed to be my stream. I was supposed to be the guest of honor. And now it's Terrence Ferguson in every goddamn draft. Guys, you can stop pandering to Davis Maddock. That stream is done. Now I have to have Turd Ferguson across my entire portfolio.
I don't think I'm pandering to him if I'm referring to the man as Turd Ferguson. Okay, I fully understand his name is not Turd, but hey, we're going to double down on the Ferguson team, the law firm of Ferguson and Ferguson. Let's go.
There it is. So yes, we have done double Ferg here. To me, I do think Turd Ferguson is going to end up being one of the all-time fanciest zeros you can take in fantasy football. But here's where you get equity, Tony. And one thing you'll learn in the content space within our best ball niche, which I believe in your submission video, you called us best ball babies. Within the best ball baby niche is there's always equity in taking a selection that one of your co-hosts and collaborators loves, because you can needle him for 17 weeks when Turd Ferguson is running 13 routes a game and averaging 1.5 catches. And I will be able to tell Davis that on the Shipcast week in and week out, and you cannot put a price on that.
That's fair. That's a fair point. What is fantasy if not ribbing your buddies about it? That's why we all started this thing. This is what it all brings us together. I have a fantasy football league. I have guys I played high school football with still in said league, and we still banter about the stupidest things 20 years later. Ferguson is just the next step in that. So as we're 6 picks away, we're hoping Jaden Blue falls to us, but what position, as you see the rest of this team here, do you think is our biggest position of need to take some flyers on, or are we cool enough where we can go positionless and it doesn't matter?
Dude, I think we're good. I think a 5th running back for sure, and then I think you could do a 6th running back. Maybe I say, hey, Tony, you love the Packers. Do you love Marshawn Lloyd? We could have that conversation, or we could do an 8th wide receiver dart.
I love Marshawn Lloyd's hamstrings. I hope they love me back, because this guy was drafted to be such a huge focal point of the LaFleur offense. He doesn't want to be a bell cow offense. LaFleur wants to rotate guys in and out, and Josh Jacobs carries the load, and Marshawn Lloyd is that lightning. There's thunder and there's lightning, and yet Marshawn Lloyd, I think he has 13 snaps total in his 2 years in an NFL team. And this guy, if he is healthy, though, he could be the man. You're celebrating over there because someone just got taken, or?
No, I'm depressed because Jaden Blue, I just wanted to draft every single Dallas Cowboy except Javonte Williams. That's literally my dream in life, and it was taken away from me. Let's do Marshawn Lloyd here as the same kind of idea, right? It's the same thought process. Yeah.
I hope so. The other one, someone sniped him from us. Is that what that comment said?
No, we did get Lloyd. He's talking about Blue, who I was hoping for.
Gotcha. So turning around here, last pick. We could go running back again. I do love Bryce Lance out of New Orleans if we want a real flyer at wide receiver. And then for running back, I'm across the board grabbing another name that you think could produce for us, especially if we want to build off of any of the stacks that we already have.
Well, I did once hear a man try to slander Rachaad White and attack Jacob Sanderson's massive bag of Rachaad White shares by touting the fat man, Katron Allen. We do have Antonio Williams. Oh, he goes too. We keep getting sniped.
Well, this is fair. This is fair for us to get sniped here. I'm fine with Singleton if you are, or we go Bryce Lance. Oh, you want Cooper Kupp, the old man Cooper Kupp?
Wait.
Let's
do
Cooper
Singleton.
Kupp.
Let's do Singleton here. Wait, okay. Bryce Lance? Talk to me about Bryce
buddy.
Lance.
This is I'm a huge draft nerd, and I love following Warren Sharp when he breaks down the draft because they go really deep. Todd McShay too. Todd McShay loves this guy, Bryce Lance. And for me, this has to do with he's a big play outside receiver, and he was taken in a later round by New Orleans, who needed some receiver help. Everyone's talking about Jordan Tyson. Jordan Tyson hasn't completed a full season since high school, since PPR Tyler had him in high school. Chris Olave has all those problems that we have with the concussions, a terrible situation for of Chris Olave. You're telling me that these guys are going to stay healthy for a full 17-game slate where Bryce Lance is already making huge plays in OTAs when he gets out there, when he gets snaps. So yes, he's going to be a couple of zeros early. I just don't trust this New Orleans roster to stay healthy enough to keep Lance off the field. And if he's out there, man, I'm telling you, he has the ability to turn a 10-yard catch into an 80-yard touchdown. So if we're going to go flyers, I think he's a great flyer for the very end of your drafts if you're looking for that last wide receiver.
Wow, look at you, schooling me on Bryce Lance. I'm trying to think how deep I've gotten in the rookie wide receiver. Obviously, Antonio Williams, Hurst. I've done some Brazzle on the Panthers, some of these guys, Zachariah Branch. But, next time I got that Tyler Shuck, this is the thing I think about with those guys where it's like, yeah, there is a mystery box element to all of these. What role will they have? That's where I lean into the correlation of, okay, how do I choose between all these rookie wide receivers who have basically similar draft capital, similar prospect profiles as far as their likelihood of success? Just take the one who correlates with your quarterback.
Fair. So what was I know we got Singleton at the end there. We'll recap this team in a second, but what was the consigliere take on Singleton?
So Singleton, I think too, it's kind of like the Damon Claiborne bet. It's kind of like the who would be the other rookie? They're the Katron Allen bet, where it's saying there's some ambiguity in how this backfield shakes out. Tony Pollard as a veteran, could Singleton, earn some base work? Could he earn a little bit of standalone value? And then boom, if something happens to Spears or Pollard, could he all of a sudden, become this year's, even in the same way Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt rose, or could he be the ambiguous winner? Monungai last year is another good example of just a younger guy who carves out the role. So I think it's a thinner bet than the Jaden Blue or Marshawn Lloyd, who have cleaner pass to handcuff value. But I mean, aren't we in a youth movement with Tennessee here? We also already took Wan'Dale Robinson as well. And so we're betting on this offense. So I don't hate the idea of being like, hey, things go south with one of Spears or Pollard. Let's see what this new guy has.
Well, let's break down this team because I am very excited to have a team this is as unique a team as I've drafted so far, with Caleb Williams and Dak Prescott as our only two quarterbacks. The running back position, we went heavy early, filled in late. Kenneth Walker and Kyron Williams off the top. Kyle Monungai and Chris Rodriguez, Peter's favorite, Chris Rodriguez right there. Marshawn Lloyd, hoping he stays healthy, and Singleton as our last pick. Love the wide receiver room for how various it is. CeeDee Lamb as our stud. Luther Burden and DJ Moore is who we hope to be the wide receiver ones on their team. High floor Wan'Dale, followed by Denzel Boston, Flournoy, and my man Antonio Williams to end that room. And then the tight ends, one of the top fives in Tyler Warren, and then the double of Ferguson and Ferguson, the law firm at the end. Peter, I really think I don't think this team has holes in it. I think there's chances that this team could much rather do better than where they're drafted than we lose it because a couple of guys got injured here. I'm pumped about this one.
I like it a lot, man. And, one of the things that I think it's hard in drafts, right, to accomplish every single initiative of like, yes, we all want to be jacked up at every position, have really high ceilings at every position. Generally, we're sacrificing one spot. The phrase we always talk about is quantity or quality, not both. I feel like at these 4 positions, we have really high upside, like Caleb and Dak. Both of those guys can put up top 5 weeks in the right environments. Kenneth Walker and Kyron, those guys can be bell cows who really carry us. CeeDee Lamb, Burden, DJ Moore, those guys can be massive spike weeks leading their team in targets. And then Warren, normally you have a build like this and you're like, okay, I have 3 late tight ends or whatever. We sneak in Tyler Warren here, a year 2 guy who should continue to see a leap. So to look at the balance of this roster and not really sacrificing ceiling at any one position that we had to make up with pure quantity, to me, that's the makings of a pretty good team.
I'm happy. I'm very happy with it. We have a couple of Tony Square's favorites on there. We have a couple of guys I haven't touched. Caleb Williams and Dak. I'm ranking all the quarterbacks on my channels right now, not for fantasy purposes, just for football purposes. And I have Caleb to spoil that list. Both of them are in the top 8 on that list. I think they're both fantastic. Happy to be rooting for them every single week, even though Caleb Williams broke my heart last season and will likely break it again for many seasons to come. But that's the Green Bay fan in me.
Tony, there were a lot of good questions in the chat, guys. Sorry, we were moving quickly. We had lots of conversations, so I couldn't get to every one of them. I did see a few pop up. I do have to ask, I don't think I've seen you wear a hat, much less a backwards hat. Is that part of you becoming a best ball bro, or is that just a coincidence today?
That is That is, I woke up at 4 a.m. yesterday in Seattle, flew over here to quickly get my cousin out of the room. She built these shelves behind me while she stayed here. Thank you, cousin Amanda. To get her out of the place, get her into her car, film with Davis, and then pass the F out to catch up on all the sleep that I have missed. And waking up at 7 a.m. or I guess 6:30 a.m. Pacific to get ready for this, there was no chance this hair was going to be ready. So this was a put on the cap. It's actually a Seattle, from Seattle, from the FIFA games in Seattle hat. It was on my desk. I'm like, I'm looking on camera like, fuck, I got to get crazy. Got to put the hat on. That's why you're getting it. But if that is the best ball bro in me coming out, maybe this is my final figure here, Peter.
No, the way you backed into that, I mean, it is basically a trope at this point. It's been used as a pejorative tossed my way where it says you'll see like a tweet and be like, well, the backward hat bros this year are finally in on running back. So I'm just saying, in the same way, every other day, this is the day Donald Trump becomes president. This is the day you became a best ball bro, Tony Squares.
They handed Tony Squares the moonstone and he evolved into this final form. That's what we're going with right here. But yeah, if this is what it means to be a best ball bro, if I got to join 3,000 drafts, 101 Dalmatians, as Tyler was saying Cups is doing, if that's what I got to do, if that's what the next version of me is, then so be it. Let's get the monitors rolling.
We got a couple more minutes here and then we'll bring Michael O'Hara up. But I want to ask you because, obviously this show is not so you think you can become a best ball bro. Obviously, so much of what I do right now in the type of content leans toward best ball. And so the challenges are naturally going to revolve around that. But do you have an interest in doing more best ball? Or do you like, hey, I like my lane. I like redraft. I like dynasty. This is a fun thing. I'm just kind of curious where you see this ultimately, fitting in now that you got pretty direct exposure to it over the course of this contest.
It is a blast. Any football is good football to me, just like a Thursday night game between the Cleveland Browns and the New York Jets. I'm going to watch it because football is football. Same thing when it comes to drafting. I'm going to enjoy it. However, my lane in being in dynasty and keeper leagues and redraft leagues, and I love guillotine leagues now. Those are becoming the new hot thing. That's the conversation for me that interests me, that perks my interest, talking about it in that value, because building these teams out and trying to correlate for week 17, trying to correlate for stacks and all that stuff, like, I don't play the stock market. I probably should. Like, if we want to call up your accountant, he's probably going to tell me to play the stock market. But I'm much more like, my mindset, my niche to scratch the itch for me is definitely in the redraft keeper space. Love the best ball, love talking shop, love talking football, but I'm definitely more intrigued when it comes to August.
And I will say, like, I feel the same way about other formats as well. Like Dynasty, I still play in a few leagues. It's not necessarily where my passion is. But one thing I've always said is I think being a year-round fantasy player and taking advantage of the different formats, they make you a better player in all of the other formats. So like doing a ton of best ball leagues, like sure, could you have what we call best ball brain rot when it's time to go draft your redraft teams where there are differences in strategy and things you need to execute? Absolutely. But man, just knowing the board inside now, understanding values, I feel so prepared rolling into redraft season. And then same with Dynasty, like you get in the weeds when my guys over on Ship Chasing start doing the prospecting stuff, getting in the lab there, then you start rolling into best ball. And it's like, I already have a foundation for how I view these rookies. And so I do love the element, whether you're dabbling in some and more hardcore in the other, I don't think matters, but I do think playing in all the different formats in just some capacity will make you a really strong fantasy player in the aggregate.
Happy to always become a stronger fantasy player. I don't think my friends will like to hear that. But when you get to the redrafts, though, when you're doing all these best ball drafts and people are paying attention to ADP and trying to go off the board, and then you get into your home league redraft, you're going to get just shot in the face when Javonte Williams goes in the second round because you got a Dallas Cowboys fan in your group.
Yeah. The fun thing about that is, and I'm constantly, I'll pull it up on Fantasy Life. Like I was writing about Rashid Shaheed the other day, and, he goes at pick 130 on Underdog. I saw his ESPN ADP was like 187 or something crazy too. And you do have to really think of like, how do I want to engineer my team knowing these ADPs are so different? And basically home league people, I would say, they're more risk averse. They're more willing to index on what happened last year, which isn't the worst thing. Like what happened last year is a pretty good predictor of what's going to happen, but they're on the whole, less willing to buy the breakout, take the leap of faith. And so engineering your team where it's like, let me lock up those early running backs. Let me get a quarterback who has top 5 upside, a tight end with top 5, because guess what? They're going to let me get all the rookies cheap, all these potential breakout players. And so you do have to play the room in that regard, but knowing like, holy cow, Shaheed is an awesome value in redraft. If that thesis hits, that's the thing that I think can supercharge your redraft season, having played a lot of best ball.
I love that. And to just to quantify real quickly as my final minute here, the best ball babies comment I made my initial submission. The reason why I love redraft keeper leagues, week by week fantasy leagues so much, and why I don't like best ball is because that start sit conversation when you have a team of people you drafted and you're trying to decide who's got the breakout week, who's got the good matchup. That to me is the heart of fantasy football. The draft is an adrenaline shot. It hits all your endorphins of getting all you guys seeing where the board falls, building the puzzle as you and Tyler were talking about. That week-to-week start sit when you have a team of your guys making the right decisions because only one tight end, only 2 wide receivers can score for you. That's the juice, Peter. That's the stuff that keeps me coming back week after week. So that's probably why I lean more in the redraft keeper dynasty space.
I love it. I love it. The chat's also asking, let them know when are they going to get the link to your solo stream. I believe that's happening tomorrow at like 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern.
We're going to go late. We're going to go late because we're doing a little bit of a late night show here on the Pacific Coast. I know we're waking up early for best ball. We just created the Tony Squares NFL YouTube channel. We have this many subscribers so far. We were acquired to go live. I'll check back later if that's allowed. But right now, Tony Squares NFL on YouTube. It's linked in my link tree wherever my social media channels are. You'll be able to catch that, and we'll be going live there at 10 p.m. Eastern, ready to rock. I might wear a suit. It's undecided, but I'm excited for it.
Awesome. Looking forward to it as well. Tony Squares, make sure you check him on the Davis stream yesterday as well, and check out his solo stream tomorrow night. Squares, we will catch you later. It is time for Michael O'Hara to join us here on Best Ball Breakfast. We saw him last week hosting the Bash with his friend, PPR Tyler. Minnie said the wheel was rigged. How are you doing, Michael O'Hara? The job of hosting is now yours.
Good morning, Peter. I just want to say thank you for joining me as a guest on this program so far. And I'm just happy to be the first guy not wearing a backwards hat to roll through the stream today, breaking that stereotype of the best ball bros. But yeah, we can just get this draft rolling and see where it takes us. But much like I asked Tyler last week, I was thinking of one question that I wanted to open this thing up with and try and get you loose a little bit. It's a little more formal, but than what I asked Tyler. But Pete, where do you think your edge is in where do you find your edge, whether it be best ball, whether it be fantasy as a whole? Where do you think you can separate from the pack and win?
I think my edge is in making good content. I don't think my edge is in drafting best ball mania teams. No, truthfully, like, do I think I can build a solid portfolio? Do I think I can draft teams that aren't just drawing dead and getting in bad? But do I see this as a potential, accelerant to my retirement? Absolutely not. And I do think, we've talked about it with the evolution of DFS, obviously best ball, like, were there soft money opportunities early on? When these contests were more nascent? Absolutely. But I think we've reached a period where it's hyper saturated. It's incredibly competitive. The tools, the rankings, the projections, the ADP, everything is hyper efficient. And we're just fucking having fun right now. I'm having fun, but I'm not deluded that I have an edge in this.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I know you co-authored the Dailies Masterclass. Like, are you still ripping that with expectations of coming away with money, a positive ROI?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I mean, last year was a tipping point. I will pat myself and the Badge Bros on the back. I think the masterclass leveled up a lot of players' game. It basically allowed them to shortcut the learning curve of kind of losing money in the contest and realizing what works and doesn't work. I also think the addition of the solver and people having the recommendations with the correlations, there's been a lot more data now. People kind of know what works. It's similar, though, to, say, the Millie Maker on DraftKings. There's still a lot of dead money. There's still a lot of bad teams. But because the contest is so big and because the prizes are so top heavy, it's really hard to realize that edge even over a 17-week sample. Like, you might have a really big edge and it could take you 3 seasons to finish top 5 in a contest just because of variance. And so that makes it really, really hard from a I want to be profitable standpoint.
I was gonna say the same thing about in regard to best ball. I'm like, I have no clue if I legitimately have an edge. Like I've put probably 25 teams in the semifinals over the last 2 years. Let's make this pick here. Is it Lamb for you?
Yeah, I'm good with Lamb or Cook here, but I say we grab Lamb as the slight ADP value.
Yeah, and then just roll with a running back most likely. I mean, definitely. But like, I have no idea if I have an edge in best ball. Like, I've probably put 25-ish teams in the semifinals over the last 2 years and advanced none of them. So obviously, I've made no money. So like, it's just so tough to, unless you're like Justin Herzig or Liam Murphy, I guess. It's just so hard to know if you're actually going to ever realize it. But I'm cool with basically Saquon, Kenneth, Chase Brown, Derrick Henry. Where do you go?
Yeah, I was just pulling up because I like Barkley and Walker the most. I have way more Walker with him. So let's do Barkley with Lamb.
Yeah. So I kind of heard, I can't remember if it was with Tyler or Tony, but like you're kind of just not necessarily capitulating, but you're just not taking it. You're not trying to get too fancy in the early couple rounds. But is there a player that you are fading entirely here in the first like 20 picks or so?
Well, I think I'm pretty light on Chase Brown exposure. You can see here on the screen. Yeah, I think I'm maybe at like 5%, but you can see here, even my lowest available here, Pickens, I'm at 5.3, Rashi, I'm at 5.3. In rounds 1 and 2, it's probably pretty hard for me to be below 5%. I think just by RNG, I don't have a lot of Amon-Ra St. Brown. I like Amon-Ra. Like I want to be even weight on him. But yeah, I think in kind of talking about this with squares as well, the progression of playing a lot of best ball over the years, you do get humbled and you realize the expression of your skill or trying to express your skill in rounds 1 or 2 is just a losing proposition. I think you can tilt your bets, have your takes, but these full stands and full fades on the top 24 players in fantasy, I think it's a really quick way to torch a season of entry fees.
So you would advise against the fact that I have not clicked Jonathan Taylor once yet this year?
You haven't? So, okay. Talk to me on that. I assume like if you get 2 to 3 picks of value on Taylor, he falls to you at 8 or 9. You're still like, no, thank you.
I click Taylor at 10. I take him behind that tier of ARSB, Lamb, and Jefferson. I just don't buy like when we've seen Taylor kind of explode for a ceiling outcome. Well, not necessarily last year across a full season, but we've seen kind of what the ceiling outcome looks like for 2 separate years. But like when the Colts were rolling last year, it was like the highest ranking team in EPA per play by like far and away. And it was just, I just don't see that being sustainable with Jones coming back from an ACL injury. So I'm just not clicking him until those receivers are off the board. Could that be a terrible decision? I think you would say yes, but I am more than willing to torch my money and fade Jonathan Taylor there. You'll end up with a more expansive portfolio than I do, just in terms of raw volume. I mean, actually, I don't know. Will you? Because like you famously not like drafted a single team off stream this year.
Bro. Haven't you heard about the new development? Do I need to show you my slow draft?
Slow draft hell. Slow draft hell.
Look at this, brother. I'm back. I'm officially a best ball bro now. Those are the side contests. So I'm trying to max weekly winners, trying to max the eliminator. But yeah, I'm not going to say it's awful to take a stand like that. I think it can be fun for fantasy football. I just do think if your goal is to build the strongest portfolio to realize your edge against your opponents, that basically saying the market is completely wrong on this player, there's a lot of hubris to that take. I think it's fun to have that level of hubris, but you do have to admit going that hard again, it's almost like you should question, why is he going here? Why do so many people think this is his true value?
Oh, 100%. I'm not Josh Allen here. I don't know how you feel on that take, but Javonte to go with CD. I know you said you're kind of like paired, but your combinatorial ownership was super high, but any thoughts?
No, I'm good with Javonte here. I mean, kind of similar to what we did where it's like, take Lamb. We know we're going to like the running backs coming back early round 2. We take Javonte here. We know we're going to like the wide receivers available because this is a flat tier, right? Ladd, Igbuka, Tet, Garrett Wilson, Burden.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm fine with a lot of the things that kind of come back around to us here. So yeah, it's easy. I like Igbuka, but yeah, like you said, it's pretty flat. So I'm thinking wide receiver here. What about you?
Yeah, I'm light on Igbuka. I actually need to update my exposures because I know I took him yesterday, but this is a guy that I think I'm only at 1 or 2% now because showing 0, and I know I clicked him yesterday and we just clicked him here. Give me the bull case for Igbuka.
Yeah, and then I think we can do a little bit of a tout twist thing where you kind of explain why you're at 1% here. But my whole thing is I dove into like some of the numbers. I haven't finished up the article yet, but I'm writing about Ibuka because it was just such a confounding rookie year. Like what the hell happened? And everything kind of not plummeted, but everything ticked down across the board from the front half of the year to the back half of the year, whether it be target earning, efficiency, explosive playmaking ability. But the thing that really did truly plummet was the efficiency, like catch rate, contested catch percentage. I think he had 3 plays of 20 plus yards in his final 8 games. So I'm more than willing to kind of buy into it because his target earning fell, but it wasn't drastic or super, super meaningful. So he's still showing an ability to earn volume, play a role in the offense. And then we also know what kind of just downfield, like ceiling-based outcomes we can get. We saw it early in the year. So I know that that's in his range of outcomes. I know that he's talented enough to do so. And I'm just kind of willing to I think flukiness is like kind of honestly the best word there. Like he had some drops. Him and Baker just anecdotally weren't on the same page in the back half of the year on like some potential huge gains or even touchdowns. So I'm willing to kind of just chalk it up to flukiness. And then obviously you get the departure of Mike Evans. There's a world where this is the black marble year for Chris Godwin. So, and kind of what you were talking about, I think it was with Squares, just like Baker Mayfield had that shoulder injury year, and we know he's a guy who can just sling it and lead a fantasy friendly offense. So I perhaps it's a bad idea to kind of just chalk it up to variance, but that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. And I think same with the burden conversation. Like I see the upside scenarios for Ibuka. I see the scenarios where we're drafting him in round 2 next year. But I think like straight up, and this isn't the best example because Waddle fucking goes ahead of him in this draft. But generally I look at guys like McLaurin, Waddle, Teteroy McMillan, Mike Evans. I think all of those guys are going to safely project for more targets on a week-to-week basis. 100%. I do think we're paying, as kind of Brad says in the chat, the early season touchdown tax on Ibuka. I mean, this guy was a monster in the red zone. That can be a selling point for him this year, but I do think we see more of a bounce back for Chris Godwin. Maybe Jalen McMillan, now more healthy and removed from that neck injury, is a factor in the red zone. And so I worry a little bit about paying for not only touchdowns, but touchdowns that happened at the beginning of last season with Ibuka. And I think it's just a steep price on the ceiling tax at the top of a tier.
Yeah, I get that. And there's no reason to like push back on people who are fading it. Like both sides of the case, I think have very reasonable arguments, but let's make this pick here. Positionally, kind of structurally, where are you kind of leaning here?
I like the value on both Judkins or Tootin here. Get that third running back. Tootin goes. I haven't been like a massive Judkins guy. I'm at 6% here, but I kind of like Judkins.
Yeah, I'm not a big Judkins guy either, but 6 picks past, I'm fine with that. But they are asking me to service the audio listeners, and I will say that it's not even like me lifting a bit from you. It's like I've just heard you say it so many times that it's just kind of like ingrained in my lexicon at this point. Like if I'm going to recap a team, like that's what I'm going to say. It's very strange, but I don't mind going Daniels here or really either of the top 2 guys.
I'm going to throw it back to you because this is the flat part where I just RNG generally go quarterback, but I want
Daniels for me.
All right. That's generally who I go to in this exact spot as well.
I'll probably have upwards of 20% Daniels this year. I just think he is one of the most mispriced guys on the board. Like you guys talked about on, I think, Ship Chasing the other day or a couple weeks ago, it was like 5th round is the Tootin round. For me, 6th round is the Jaden Daniels round. But to finally service the audio listeners, 6 rounds in, we open things up with CeeDee Lamb in the 1st round, but we'll go positionally here. Jaden Daniels, Saquon Barkley, Javonte Williams, Quinshon Judkins, CeeDee Lamb, and Emeka Egbuka for a 1-3-2 through our first couple of rounds here. I like where this team is heading structurally. Like we kind of hammer away at the running back position to just kind of avoid the cliff that we see in these upcoming couple of rounds. We've got some firepower in the wide receiver room. Again, I personally think that Daniels is one of the most mispriced guys on the board, but where are you standing on this team through 6 rounds, Pete?
Yeah, I like it. This is a structure I really like. I think sometimes, the Javonte and Egbuka, they're not my favorite player selections in that range, but the overall structure of this, getting an elite wide receiver 1 and elite RB1 there. And then, like you said, the board gets flat. there's not a big difference between the Marvin Harrisons and the Brian Thomases from my perspective to the Ricky Pearsall, Xavier Worthies, Josh Downs. So give me the quarterback there, because the quarterback options in those rounds, the 2v2s, do strike me as significantly less solid than the Daniels pick. So I'm completely with you. I do like Jordan Tyson in this range. He goes right before us. So at that point, it's like maybe you take Jadarian Price if we didn't take Judkins. Other than that, once we have Judkins, let's grab Daniels here.
I think we're 100% in lockstep there. Like, if structurally it makes sense, I like grabbing Price in that range, but don't need it for this team. So it's like, just with the run of quarterbacks I always see in the 6th round, I think with Daniels being my favorite of a bunch, it's kind of a layup pick there. But kind of like moving along, like I do agree with you in like the flatness of like the basically pick 60 through 100 at the wide receiver position. I've like kind of made that, like, I've brought it up several times on this show, but is that kind of stance in influencing how you're drafting structurally in terms of just like how you attack the position?
Well, do you mean like I'm really light on Brian Thomas, Marvin Harrison, Lemon?
Yeah, so you're just like avoiding the guys at the top of that, like kind of, I guess, massive tier in your eyes?
Yeah, I'm going to be underweight all of those guys if these ADPs hold, for sure.
Yeah. Are you thinking Dak is a kind of a layup pick here?
I think so. It's kind of what we did with Squares too, right? Where it takes a lot of pressure off of us. We need Dallas to cook on a Javonte CD team.
Yep.
There's no bye week issues there. I think we do this and we can shut it down at quarterback.
Yeah, I'm perfectly okay stopping it too. And I am going to attempt to nudge you in the direction of Squares again. Do you like Tucker Kraft this year?
I do. The one thing I would look at, I was also just being like, is the guy behind us going to take Dak? Do we maybe want to push it if he's going to take Herbert? But if there's not a clear other pick to make, then I have no problem just locking him up. I do like Kraft. I do wonder, would we be better off with a third wide receiver and not pushing it here, just going with a Godwin or Downs? That would be my only pushback, even though I like Kraft.
I think this is, I'm good with the receiver here.
All right. Do you have a preference on Godwin or Downs?
Your pick of the litter.
Let's do Godwin. I mean, we're on Igbuka. I don't think that those two have to be mutually exclusive. Like we bet on the offense. I think I would be more worried with the redundancies of like McMillan or Hurst with Igbuka, right? Where it's absolutely. Igbuka and Godwin are going to be out there in 2 wide receiver sets. So let's just lean into the correlation there.
Kind of rolling back to the talking point we're having earlier. So like that ultra wide range, like, are you just basically light on basically everyone at the top?
Yeah. You mean those wide receivers? Yeah. Lemon.
Yeah. Like the Thomases, the Harrisons.
Yeah. It's just like there's so much downside risk for them. The Thomas stuff, like if the Parker Washington Bulls are correct, if Jacoby's not dead, if Hunter plays more offense, it does seem like Brian Thomas is going to be put more into a field stretcher role. Yeah. I just think, you're not paying the prices you did for him last year, but I just don't see us getting back to end of rookie year, Mac Jones era Brian Thomas. Marvin Harrison, it's like, holy shit, the number of questions we have, him getting mogged by Michael Wilson, who the fuck's going to be the quarterback. Lemon, like ETR is 30 spots lower in their ranking on Lemon here. Obviously I see the upside, but man, I cannot come around on this wide receiver range from like making a stand perspective.
I don't need to rehash my take on Brian Thomas Jr. for the 9th time in relation to So You Think You Can Tout. All I'll say is that I will definitely be having my fair share of Brian Thomas Jr. this year. But I understand the pushback and just kind of the bear case. I do think that, like, to kind of head over to the other side of the aisle, I think that the one thing that people like aren't talking about enough in relation to Brian Thomas Jr. It's not the Mac Jones versus Trevor Lawrence thing. It's that the target competition that down the stretch in his rookie year was just zero. It was zilch. There was no one on the field to compete with. Like, the entire offense had to flow through him. And now that there's obviously significant options. But where are you thinking we head with this upcoming pick?
Yeah, 2-3-3-0. I don't think we have to panic on a tight end here. We're going to have plenty of options. We're good at quarterback. So I do think we're kind of looking at running back and wide receiver. I'm fine adding a fourth here with Dobbins or Brooks. I don't really love the wide receivers here. So I think we lean into a couple of running back picks here, and then we just go full pass catcher down the stretch.
Yeah, that plan works for me. And Dobbins and Brooks are my two favorite running back clicks in this range. And Dobbins goes, so I'm cool with Brooks. And then just kind of seeing what the next guy does here with his next couple of picks. But we do have someone in chat who is tuning into stream an hour after their child was born. So thanks for getting on with us. The chat rats are taking it to an entirely new level. Have you ever experienced anything like this?
You know, I have experienced watching my wife give birth to my daughter, and I will say I don't know if my impulse was to head to a best ball stream. Let's get back to Hunter in a second here. What should we do? Get one more running back? Maybe
let's hammer the running back and then go from here. You can make the pick here.
Let's do Rachaad White. I mean, we're doing the Jaden Daniels thing.
Might as well.
You know, I do on a team where he's your fifth, wide receiver or running back. Do you maybe say like, does the floor and stuff, is that as attractive as it is in maybe an anchor RB build or zero RB build? I think we could have that combo, but just from a correlated standpoint of the guy who's going to be on the field a ton with Jaden, I like that there for us.
Yeah. But yeah, having the best ball stream fired up an hour after birth. I mean, I thought that was reserved for exclusively the Davis Maddox of the world, but I guess that there are a lot more sickos out there than I expected. But it's
I remember when Lauren gave birth, I was curating a playlist. I had some like lo-fi beats on. I was trying to have like uplifting but kind of soothing music. I even got some daps from the nurses at the hospital. They're like, sometimes people put on some weird stuff, but they're like, that was a nice playlist you had going. We were in a chill environment. I'm just now imagining these nurses over there having to listen to us talk about Jonathan Brooks and Rachaad White while cleaning up the baby post-birth. I mean, these poor nurses, Michael.
That's brutal. That's insane. Would you say fatherhood has hindered your ability to do 9 puppies in bed a la Davis Maddox?
Well, it's funny because technically it's not, I still, have time to myself once my daughter is down to sleep. But I have had a rule I'm coming up on 3 years now where I have not had my phone in the bedroom. So just, it literally would not work. I could not break my rule to do it. And even if I didn't have that rule, Michael O'Hara, that it would not be part of my wind down routine, multi-tabling 9 puppies at once. I just can't see
on the
that
phone too.
As part of my stack, I do my face wash. I do my cold plunge in sauna. I put on my little PJs and then fire up fucking 9 underdog drafts. I don't think it works.
It just doesn't. It just, the brain gets going too fast right before you're trying to shut it down. Just too many dopamine hits all at once. But I mean, yeah, I don't blame you at all. But the draft is playing out in a manner here that I'm pretty happy with. I'm being accused of being the youngest looking boomer ever in the chat. Just yesterday, Davis was accusing me and Cups of like being afraid to get boxed out at running back. I think this is the perfect kind of like, not necessarily dichotomy, but just showing the range. Like, you have to be adaptable in these rooms. Like, you can't get anchored down to one roster construction. I mean, I think if anything over these last couple of years, I don't know if you are in agreement with me, Pete, but like, just the ability to be flexible and take what the board gives you, I think it's one of the most valuable skills that you can have in these rooms.
For sure. Yeah. And this draft's an example. Like, this is pretty light on wide receivers for me in general. I mean, we're about to pick at 11-11 and we only have 3 wide receivers, but guess what? Like, this is still the right spot of the board to be catching up at wide receiver. I mean, we are done essentially at quarterback and running back. So it's all wide receivers and tight ends. It feels uncomfortable, but you should be willing to get into these pockets of the draft board if it dictates it.
Yeah. I was going to say we could grab the 9 picks of value on Higgins there, but I think any of the wide receivers here other than Shakir, I'm just not a Shakir guy. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I sometimes eat my vegetables on Shakir here, but Diggs is fun.
He's like in a not time box contest like this. I think he's just such a screaming value. When he signs, he's up, 15 picks in your opinion?
It depends, right? If he goes to Washington, it could be 30, 35.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's gonna be a CLV hit no matter what. I feel pretty confident on that. It's just, is he gonna be a production hit? We'll see.
I mean, I don't think he's toast. It was efficient. It was a limited role, but he was efficient and productive last year. I mean, like, the signs are there that he's declining, but is he fully toast? I don't think so. Yeah, Ferguson's great.
So both of them stacked up, Ferg or Chig. Should we just go with the lower ADP or higher ADP?
Yeah, just grab the value on Ferguson and just call it a day. It's you just got to take it.
No, the Diggs thing was interesting. Beginning of the offseason, I wrote an article for Fantasy Life where I looked at like my big board exposures and I looked at all of those veteran free agent wide receivers, and I was light on all of them. And I wanted to like interrogate myself and be like, what's just a blind spot where I'm like, oh, they don't have a team. I can't stack them. I don't want to deal with it. And the one I came away from of being like, I want to actually up my exposure because from my perspective, he was sneaky good down the stretch last year. It was Diggs. Like there's true concerns for Debo, obviously, Ayuk at this point, the health stuff with Tyreek Hill, Keenan Allen, yada, yada. But Diggs really does stand out as the guy who could really contribute still in 2026.
Absolutely. And it's got to be a specialized role. So I think we kind of have to be careful when evaluating the landing spot. Just like, I guess Josh McDaniel was one of those guys who can figure out and plan out something for him that works and makes him like just not running empty routes. So I think we kind of have to think through the play caller and the offensive architect there when he does inevitably sign. But I think, no matter what, at a minimum, you're getting CLV there. I wrote about it as well. Just one of those guys who you should be drafting in these contests right now, just because like when August rolls around, he's going to be up at least a round and a half, in my opinion. So I think that's a good pick here. Again, we're not helping with the boomer allegations whatsoever. It's like, if we had drafted this team last year, I think we would have gotten run off the stream. People would be pissed.
Well, here's the thing, though. I mean, the rookies are where we are going to find ourselves in the back half of this draft. Yeah. Like, there's a lot of ways to balance out the AARP cards here at the top. So I'm not too worried about it. We're actually pretty young with, Judkins year 2. Brooks is a glorified rookie here. We can spin zone some young guys on this team. Igbuka, come on.
Do you think Brooks is like quite literally the widest range of outcomes guy on the entire board?
I do, right? Because could he be like a Marshawn Lloyd level handcuff, or could he usurp him and be a guy we draft in round 2 next year? I can see both of those scenarios.
It's so scary, but I'm not going to get calling my pants down and have 0%. I'm going to be drafting him a ton to inject some. There's no way Cooper makes it to us, so I'm not even gonna
That's a run to the podium if he does.
Yeah, run to the podium. 14 picks of ADP value there, but it's not gonna happen for us, especially on stream. It just never does. But where are you thinking tight end? Or are you thinking wide receiver here? I mean, obviously those are only 2 options, but just structurally or their preference here, just kind of play the board as it falls.
Yeah, I think it's play the board. I mean, we have, what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more picks. And we know 2 of them are going to be tight end and 4 are going to be wide receiver. So I think we can just kind of, come on, let's do it. DSC, let us have Omar Cooper here. Can we have some fun? Can we beat the boomer allegations?
Yeah, we will never. No, it was never going to happen for us. I mean, we could do Sadiq. Have some fun with the upside with that.
Let's do it. And because all these wide receivers, Jennings, Trey Tucker, Flournoy correlates. But yeah, let's do Sadiq here.
We've gotta keep the slappies happy at least a little bit. But then from there, I like Trey Harris. I don't know where your head's at here.
I wouldn't mind getting the veteran and then really getting loose.
Yeah,
with the
let's do it. Just
later.
get a little fun with it later on.
Yeah, let's, I'm just doing a quick glance of the week 17 stuff. We'll do Jawan Jennings opposite Kenyon Sadiq in week 17. Can you imagine a more beautiful
skeleton
correlation?
Yeah. It's the skeleton key. I think someone in the chat, Mark, brought up an interesting talking point that I have a take on, the Trey McBride fall. And I know we're not at that kind of range in the draft, but I think it is one worthwhile talking about. I think 1, it's the rise of Bowers. 2, it's people just started doing their projections and that they realized the big fantasy, the cabal started doing their projections and they realized that the volume is just simply unsustainable. I can't remember the exact number, but it was Brissett had the most games in the league last year with at least, I believe it was 45 pass attempts. Yeah. It might've been 40, the threshold there. It's simply just unsustainable. And I know Gretsch has gone on this whole spiel about just him having multiple extra games of routes, but I think it's just kind of just the numbers are just not backing up the ADP. Do you have any thoughts there?
Yeah, I think you're completely right. I think people are pretty spooked about this quarterback situation.
Yeah, that as well.
And I think that's really driving it because I want to say, if you told the market Jacoby Brissett is going to be the quarterback for 17 games, we would probably be drafting Bowers and McBride mostly back to back, like middle of round 2, just like get that elite tight end. McBride was a monster last year, but there is that little voice in all of our heads of Carson Beck. Like, when does this happen?
Absolutely.
And like, I look at our fantasy life projections, the team has Beck taking over like week 11 or 12. We're projecting 11 games for Brissett. You look at the ETR ranks, they have Brissett as undraftable because they don't have him playing at the end of the season. And so it's, how do you reconcile that? How much of a drop off in production for McBride do you want to assign when Carson Beck is at quarterback? Obviously, he's still going to produce, but if it's the back weighted production that takes a hit, I understand the fear there.
Yeah, absolutely. And you brought it up, the fantasy life projections. Does Dwayne ever let you touch those?
No. And I don't think I'm ever even asked for input on them, which I don't want to be. I don't want that blood on my hands. I just want to be the guy in the cheap seats that critiques little things. I don't want to actually have to deal with the trickle down effects of adjusting projections.
Yeah, you can't put your name on it, but you want to be able to ping him in Slack and let him know when he's off.
Yes, exactly. You had mentioned Trey Harris earlier. He does fall all the way back here. He now looks like an ADP value. How do you think, I'll turn the tables on you, like Trey Harris versus a correlated Antonio Williams, essentially kind of young breakout bets?
Oh, I will take Antonio Williams on this team. Yeah, Harris goes. So it's pretty, I think it's pretty clearly Williams, even though Debo's kind of there well past ADP. I've been in on Williams, just kind of like the path to being obviously the starting slot receiver is there. And I think it was Patty Crane or someone else who brought up, like, the reports aren't overwhelmingly positive, but like, who else is there? Like, are you going to be the one who's going to say Treylon Burks? And I know it's like a different archetype, a different role. But you wanted to scoop Debo here with the value and just lean into the boomer?
Well, let's lean into the boomer. We need to stack some wide receiver hits here. We need some production. I think with Diggs, Juwan Jennings, Debo, we, basically caught up on some targets. We sprinkle in some correlated upside with Antonio Williams. I think we're recovering nicely.
And now that I think Ayuk's entirely off the table for Washington, like, maybe there's a sliver of a % chance, but like Debo reunion, I think, is back on the table now with Ayuk kind of like out of the plan. So I'm fine grabbing Debo, like knowing that there's a possibility that it is a stacking option with Jaden Daniels there. But on Antonio Williams, like, who are you gonna, unless it's an outside name a la Diggs or Debo, like who are you, like, who are people thinking is going to block him from at a minimum routes? Targets, that's another argument, another debate. But is it LMC? Is it Jalen Lane? Like, it's
probably a guy like De'Ami Brown, who is the fly in the ointment of
so
where it's just like, here's the thing though, right? It's like, if he's good, and it's gonna smash, like a rookie wide receiver tethered to Jaden Daniels. But like you said, with the Jalen Lane, like, we know how this movie plays out sometimes with these rookies. Could it just be Chigakonkwo's in an elevated role, that Rachaad White has a massive role in the passing game, that De'Ami Brown is the one that's eating the routes? It's not, you can spin the bear case for any one of these wide receivers, rookies. But yeah, man, I'm willing to dream on it. And here's the thing, what we did, this is the bear case against Antonio Williams. What if they sign a veteran wide receiver? Now it's not Ayuk. What if it's Stephon Diggs? What if it's Debo Samuel? Well, motherfuckers, they're both on our team too.
Yeah, we've got it. We hedged perfectly. And one would argue that we could have hedged our upside there, but it is what it is. We got to build out a team that's logical without the knowledge of where Debo is going to go. Peter, your favorite late round stabs? I know we're kind of boxing ourselves in positionally, but your favorite late round stabs to roll with here?
Well, I am in my Jaden Blue era.
You have to be.
I know. I have been, like, my kind of go-to wide receiver dart, and this was after talking to him with Dwayne, is Tyquan Thornton. I think he is a pretty nice, better in best ball, role is assured, tethered to Patrick Mahomes, not going to be a zero. I like that play a lot. The question here for us, we have a 2-5-7-2. I do think we would like to ideally grab a third tight end. Absolutely. But is there a player that we feel like warrants a tight end selection, or are we forcing it positionally?
I think to a degree, no matter what, we'll be forcing it positionally, but I think you can make I think you can sell yourself on Colby Parkinson having 6 touchdowns, 8 touchdowns next year. I mean, just a behemoth of a human being. We know their tendencies to throw inside the 5-yard line. So why don't we grab the receiver here? Yeah, you can take your favorite stab in Thornton there. And do you kind of see the vision there with Parkinson? Do you think he's a worthwhile pick?
It's a tougher one for me here. So I do agree. We go wide receiver because the guy behind us has 3 tight ends. We're probably good there. It would be a very funny rebuttal to all the Terrence Ferguson to take Colby Parkinson on this team. Eli Stauer stock is dropping greatly after some recent reports. I'm trying to see, do we have any other correlated angles we should consider here? You know, Gesicki's kind of a guy that I do still think can hit a little bit with standalone value and then just massive spike week upside if an injury to Higgins or Chase. He's kind of who I gravitate to here. Or you can always talk me into the mountain, Darnell Washington.
I'm good with Gesicki. Got to get some laundry bro takes in there being a Bengals fan. So, like, I know Theo Johnson, like, could be, like, for week 17, but, like, he just doesn't really do it for me. Like, I'm also just not as sold on the Giants offense as some other people seem to be. But I'm good with Gesicki. Like you said, basically, like, it's like the contingent play of the fake tight end. Like you need an injury basically, or else he's going to be running a whole lot of empty routes. Like perhaps he catches a touchdown here and there, but the upside is there and we like the offense. So I'm cool with the click.
All right. We did it. Yeah. Mike Gesicki, the final pick here for us. This one's in the books, brother.
Fantastic. Shall I service the audio listeners one last time? PPR said he is listening from the treadmill. I did not know he did cardio, but happy to service him one last time. Jaden,
you know what? I just got to say, PPR, there's like no chance he's actually running. He's doing that like Instagram influencer trend where he does the incline walk.
Oh,
for
yeah,
like 30 minutes.
Absolutely.
There's no jogging happening right now.
No, 1 foot on the ground at all times. He is not actually running. But to actually get to this team recap, Jaden Daniels, Dak Prescott in the quarterback room. I think we were good to stop at 2 there. Saquon Barkley, Javonte Williams, Quinshawn Brooks, Rachaad White, a couple of boomers, and some guys with just enormous ranges of outcomes. Lamb, Igbuka, Godwin, Stephon Diggs, Juwan Jennings, Antonio Williams, Deebo Samuel, Tyquan Thornton. Big bets on the Buccaneers, but with no Baker Mayfield. Think it's fine, though. Jake Ferguson, Kenyon Sadiq, and Mike Gesicki to round out the squad. How do you like it, Pete?
Dude, I like it. This is the second kind of back-to-back team of getting the 2 higher-priced quarterbacks, which really took the pressure off of us. We got a ton of stacking in correlation there with Washington through the cheap pieces and kind of the traditional Dallas double stack there. And I like doing builds like this in the same way of, yeah, you can make 0 RB builds work right now. You can make thin wide receiver builds work. Mm-hmm. I mean, we had 3 picks at wide receiver through 130, and we come back with Diggs, Jennings, Antonio Williams, Deebo, and Tyquan Thornton. Like, I think that room can play. I don't think that team is dead on arrival.
No chance.
We accomplish a lot of the other things we want to do. I mean, this running back room is rock solid. I think it's a good team.
And PPR did confirm your suspicions. He is not lifting both legs off the ground at the same time.
Incredible. Oh, we do have a little bit of time here. You mentioned writing. Where are you writing right now?
So a lot of my in-depth work is at rotostreetjournal.com. You can find me on there. It's I'm trying to do a lot more long form stuff fantasy wise. So like I just did like 5,000 words on the guys from the 1-2 turn. I just did a ton on Igbuka as well, as I kind of alluded to recently. So it's going to be longer stuff. So it's going to be kind of like a little bit of time in between when they release, but over at Roto Street Journal, that's kind of where my best written work can be found. And then video wise, I will be ripping the solo stream tonight at 7:30 Eastern time. It is not going to be a straightforward best ball draft. I can tell you that.
Interesting.
It might be a best ball draft, but it will not be straightforward. I will say that. So there will be, in one way or another, a little bit of flair to it. So don't expect to just see me sit down and try to win $2 million as every YouTube title would make you think. So I'm looking forward to it tonight at 7:30 Eastern. Hopefully y'all can tune in. It's already live on my YouTube channel, Michael O'Hara FF, and I will tweet out the link here in a couple hours as soon as I kind of flesh out everything that it is going to entail. I'm looking forward to it.
Let me peel back at the curtain there. Talk to me about, like, obviously, I emailed you guys. I told you the 3 pillars this week, and that one was, hey, I just want you to do one solo stream draft, one draft, 45 minutes to an hour. See you on the sticks. What made you think I need to go with some extra flair as opposed to doing a normal old best ball draft?
I don't think it's anything that I needed to do. It's more so what I wanted to do, because kind of what we've talked about is at this stage in the competition, it's getting a feel for what the end result would be, what a show kind of would look like, you getting a feel for how you might vibe. And I think at this point, I want to present what I would want to do, like some other things. Like, I love best ball drafting as much as the next guy, but I don't want to my kind of like mark on this space to be the guy who just jumps on stream every day and drafts a team, or like jumps on stream a couple times a week and just drafts. Like, I really, really love redraft. My favorite thing to do in this space is in season and to like kind of dig through the numbers and just find like kind of interesting nuggets on usage and stuff. Like, Dwayne is like the king of this with the usage report. Just like kind of in that vein, just like interesting takeaways that don't necessarily show up in the box score. So like, it's like, for me, what I like and what I enjoy in the world of fantasy football is much broader than just best ball drafts. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I love doing it, but I want to do something that isn't just best ball drafts. Cause like, in my mind, what we would do together is something more than just kind of like your standard, like best ball show.
Yeah, that was actually going to be a question I had for you, at some point, because I think you're rock solid, and we've seen that through all of the challenges. But knowing, one, like, where is your true passion? And two, like, I think the thing as well of it's not necessarily a prerequisite, but almost like, what is your POV as an analyst? Obviously, we have the numbers guys. We joke around about the slapsis, and kind of like, I think up to this point, I've not necessarily gotten a read on like, what is your like unique spin, or what is the lane you do really want to operate in? Or I just want to be a rock solid analyst?
I think perhaps it's to my detriment. I think I do just like kind of middle the two lanes a little bit. Like, I enjoy attempting to create engaging and entertaining and fun content, but also I want my takes and opinions to be informed by data. I'm not going to be the guy who is going to be building his own model like Alex Cups. Like, I'm probably never going to do that. I mean, I can't say never, like, you never know. I'm still young. So
hey, Davis did it, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. Davis did it in one summer. But in terms of like, I want my opinions and my stances to be backed by data. I want to have an informed opinion. I just don't want to be like going off the cuff entirely and just firing into the ether with just like, like affected by my biases and whatnot. So I want it to be informative. And in the world of fantasy football, that's almost entirely driven by data, unless you're just a I know ball football coach like PPR Tyler. That's where you're kind of where your, I guess, quote unquote edge comes from, or where you come. But I do just, it's kind of being a blend of both. I would say, at least for the time being, and I think that's what I want to do long term is, and that's kind of what my plan would be for the show. Just doing our best to be entertaining as well as informing. So like, one thing that I really, really love is around the swole. And I know that like sometimes that it can get a little out of hand. Like, it's not always the most structured thing, but like just the blend of it, like having it be like a competition, like it's like there's some sort of entertainment value, but like if you so chose to inject some more like hard hitting topics, like hardcore fantasy stuff, like it could be like kind of that perfect blend. So like, that's kind of where I'm coming at from all this.
I think that's where the writing stuff, and I've talked about this before, where it makes it so much more natural to interject well-informed opinions when you've done the writing, because once you've done the work of outlining your thoughts, those kind of stats and argument and stuff, it sticks in your head. And it's like, even me just writing shorter newsletters each day, like I've written about almost every fantasy relevant player in the topic. And so then once we start talking about them, those points are already there for you. And it's not like you're full of shit and whatever. And it makes it more seamless, as opposed to, I think it basically, you're doing your homework ahead of time in a unscripted way, which I think really helps anyone who's doing on camera stuff to have that writing.
Oh, absolutely. Like if you're like doing kind of like in-depth stuff on like whether it be player profiles or just like macro stuff, like even if you only like I don't know what your writing process is, but like end up going through and taking my time and like proofreading it a bunch and tweaking things. So like inevitably like nuggets will stick in the back of your head and you can just toss those out on a stream or whatever it is. So it's an invaluable part of my kind of like process in terms of like where I think I can become a good analyst. So I will, wherever this road takes me, I will definitely be continuing to write. And I assume that the kind of same goes for you. I think you probably enjoy flexing that writing muscle over a fantasy life.
It's just letting, I think I've used the word, like, you don't want that muscle to, to get
atrophy.
Weak, right? Yeah. And I think the writing component too, it's also an excuse to stay up on the news, right? Like sometimes if I don't write the newsletter on Saturday and Sunday, or actually right now, Sunday and Mondays. And so then sometimes I'm like, I got to catch up on the news. What happened? What went on with Brandon Ayuk? It does help to be like, hey, I'm hawking the news. I'm staying on top of stuff. And then we have these conversations, and it can be a natural thing, because it's actually a funny conversation topic, because there's been a lot of stuff about ball knowledge here. And I think it's actually gotten distorted. What it is you need to be ball conversational. You need to know all the elements. I don't know anything about X's and O's football. It doesn't fucking matter. But you need to know the ADPs. You need to know the players. You need to know the strategies. You need to know the contest. You need to be ball conversational. And I think that is what writing actually really helps you do.
Absolutely. And when you're like a best ball guy, like you just have to keep tabs on like so many team storylines and just depth charts and stuff. And I think it helps with that as well. You're just like kind of forced to do the research yourself, and you just come away with a more well-rounded touting skill set, I guess you could say. Yeah, ball-lingual. Best way to put it. Best way to
there
put
you
it.
go. Peppertoni solved that for us. There you go. You need to be
Thank
ball-lingual.
Thank you.
We're going to get to Emo Cowboy here. Last plug. Let the people know when you will be doing your solo stream.
Michael O'Hara FF tonight at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time.
And we've been promised something unique, so I can't wait to tune in and find out.
No standard drafts here tonight.
All right, there goes Michael O'Hara. We are bringing up our fourth tout here. We have none other than Mr. Emo Cowboy. We will have Alex Cups on after him. Emo Cowboy, welcome to the stage. Welcome to Best Ball Breakfast. You are the captain now. I'm entering the draft for us.
How you doing, Pete?
I'm doing good, man. It feels weird to be doing Best Ball Breakfast on a Wednesday. I used to do this a couple summers ago. Haven't done it in a while. I think I might bring it back for August at this point. So I'm doing good here.
Yeah. How else is a redraft bro going to catch up on all of his best ball content without, a couple extra 4-hour streams?
It's either that or this trial by fire, man. I am on the clock here in about, what do we got? About 10 weekly winners and eliminators.
Yeah. It's just slow draft misery.
That's, I
it also looks like you're going to auto a pick by the time this draft wraps up.
That's a good call. Thank you for pointing that out. Let's make an eliminator pick together, and then we will hop over here. Emo Cowboy, we start Jamar Chase. Who's the eliminator selection?
AJ Brown, different bye weeks, wide receiver ones, access to good offenses, and in a flat range of the draft, some quarterback stacks to save you from making a terrible decision.
Beautiful. I believe I would have auto drafted him as well, so we can get that sweat off our brow.
Really saved our asses there, Pete.
All right. We're in a draft though. Like I said, you are the captain now. I'll get the draft board up here. I'm on the sticks, but Emo is our host. Take it away.
Pete, it's been a fun but different, best ball summer for you. A lot more reality show host mode than drafting and getting in the weeds. So I'm curious, like looking back to, last year versus this year, have you had more fun? Has it been a more fun experience? Or is this like the streamed 150 where you're like, hey, fun ride, never again?
Well, it wasn't never again because I did it the subsequent years as well.
Well, I'm saying what you say. I'm not saying what you do.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think it's been awesome. I think the things that have been, I would have done a little differently. I would have probably pushed it up a little earlier, like started it more in like February, just so I could be more into drafting mode. Like this July is going to be insane for me. But yeah, we can get back to that after this pick.
Well, everybody on your stream and in the industry hates JT. I'm a JT bull, but I'm curious what you feel like. Are you getting enough JT? Are you wanting to start anchor receiver? What do you want to do here?
No, I'm JT with you here as well. I was looking at my exposures, 10.8%. I'm light on Jefferson, which I'm good with. I'm there on Genty, Cook. But yeah, I'm not passing on Jonathan Taylor at 9.
people forget famously he had a bunch of 40-point games the last couple years, including last year before the offense fell apart. And last I checked, a hobbled mobile quarterback means more checkdowns and more passes, and that seems good for the offense. I don't know about you, Pete.
Yeah, no, I'm in on him. I think there's, I think you could split hairs on, talk about how a guy compares to James Cook and Barkley and these other guys who aren't going to catch a ton of passes. But like you said, like Jonathan Taylor has that in his bag. So I'm on board with it.
What do you like to do here? I know you said RB is structurally what you've been liking. So who here of Hampton, Walker, HN, Brown do you like?
I have been a little skeptical on Hampton. This is the pair I've done a good bit. Let's go Walker with Jonathan Taylor here. What do you like doing in that spot?
I think I'm with you that like I have some skepticism of a lot of these guys. I struggle with this because I'm definitely like a sticker shock guy, and I'm like having to just pay the price that Hampton is getting all this work. While it's probably the most likely outcome in 70% of outcomes, I'm still struggling to get there totally because his previous, collegiate and last year workload seems pretty nice, but this is a weird staff with Harbaugh involved, prioritizing going and getting Keaton Mitchell. Mike McDaniel's kind of an oddball. He's going to do what he's going to do. It's going to be good for everybody, but I have to wonder like true ceiling cost, like what is the outcome? I think I'm just deciding to take my medicine with he's a highly drafted prospect. He has a lot of raw talent. He can catch the ball really well. He did that last year really well. Ultimately, that's the ceiling you want to chase. So he fits all the check boxes we'd be looking for, like historically, but the price is just like, man, really over guys that have done it. And I have the same issue with Walker of like, we've yet to really ever see long-term sustained workload for this guy. You can wonder why, but now we're kind of just paying the Chiefs price tag again. That hasn't really worked out for any player the last few years, sans Tyreek Hill leaving the offense. So I'm at the point where I think I just say the second round is flat and interesting, and I just need to be humble about it. But I don't like to do that. I don't know about you.
No, I'm the same way. And it's just like, it feels too fancy to me to pull up Drake London and doing stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, you can make the case Chase Brown is a much safer pick than any of these guys who went ahead of him.
I definitely felt that way in pre-draft. And he still seems like a great pick.
Yeah, I need to get more Chase Brown. That's definitely a blind spot for me right now.
Catches a lot of passes, really heavily utilized in the red zone. Olave, T. Higgins, what do you like to do here at receiver?
Yeah, I'm good with either of those. Olave or Higgins, pick your fighter there. I'm good with either.
I think you just take the slight fall on Olave. You can be a little bit worried about the strength and conditioning given that the blood clot stuff, but it seems like going into week one, that should be resolved. You hope that like he acclimates quickly. But the other thing in Olave's cap is that Tyson's not really involved in a full workload yet himself. And that's the only thing keeping his price down is a first round receiver in the building. If that guy's going to miss time, Olave just becomes the clear wide receiver target hog, and taking T. Higgins over him feels kind of cute. I get it from like chasing touchdowns, but Higgins hasn't exactly been like the guy you need to have outside of spike weeks. At cost, you're kind of paying the premium for touchdowns.
Yep. Yeah. I think the Olave concern for me is just like, does he get cucked by Jordan Tyson at some point?
Do you want to scoop some falling Travis Etienne?
Yeah, I was, not my favorite, but like you said, he falls here to 40 and we have Olave. Yeah. I think we got to do it.
All right, Pete, you ready?
Okay.
Ooh. And
I thought,
also, because I'm here and I am hosting. We do a little nut button for you.
And then as long as Alvin Kamara doesn't steal our nut enthusiasm, we'll be good there. You know what I have to add? I have only heard there's only one or two people that I hear capitulating to the last name pronunciation of Etienne. I've been doing some shows with Kendall Valenzuela on Fantasy Life. She says Travis Etienne. Now, are you going to capitulate or are you going to hold the line with me on Etienne?
Brother, I don't give a damn what anybody else says or thinks. I've been calling him Etienne for years. His brother goes by Etienne last time I checked. I'm not. This is like the Kelsey stuff. I refuse to care. It's a narrative at this point. It's ETN, because even when we abbreviate it, it's so much cleaner. Let's just stick with a good thing.
And there are certain names that the chat will needle you if you mess up, but I don't think I've seen a single person in the chat say, why aren't you calling him Travis Achan? So at that point, I think we're in the clear. I think we're in the fair.
My pushback is, if you're going to do it, you have to do it with a Cajun accent, because it's not supposed to be clean. It's supposed to be like Achan, it's French, and it's not even French. It's swamp French. So like,
but then there's going to be someone in the chat that says my culture is not your costume when I do that too. So you can't win either way.
Well, you can. You just tell them that I love wearing costumes because I'm a clown.
There you go. Yeah, the ETN at 40. I mean, people saying we're worried about Kamara. Like, yeah, Kamara complicates the ETN thesis for sure.
Without Kamara, ETN's probably a 2-3 turn pick. So that's where I go. The market's slightly worried. It's probably too worried, because ultimately, we'll get to that. I guess we're just scooping all the value today, Pete. What happened to these hard stream rooms?
Yeah, Jamison Williams here. 7 picks past ADP. We need a wide receiver. We're not doing Trevion. There's nothing with Lamar. Yeah, let's do it.
Oh,
wow. Jamison. Yeah, let's do it. 57. I have not seen him there in a hot minute.
This is the price for me personally. I'm more comfortable paying for him, because this is a guy you're paying a premium for because of his spikes. He's had like 2 total games without Laporta that actually surpassed 21 half PPR points. And he had a lot of zeros, the year before that. So he's like the quintessential better in best ball play, because there are weeks where he doesn't score any points. And that guy going clearly above some of these other players is baffling to me. So I think this is a much more fair price for him, because you're paying some of that Lions premium.
Definitely.
All right. This is a fun, weird spot in the draft. And it looks like we're on autopilot so far if Lamar falls back to us.
Should I push the plane? Wow. Lamar at 6'4". Was there news? Was there news?
Chat, did he shit his pants?
Let's go over here. Lamar. Actually, I'm terrified to search Lamar Jackson
bold.
shit.
This is bold.
I'm not going to type shit. It looks like he's okay. I don't see anything in the recent news.
Whew. Well, no diarrhea trip for Lamar. We can draft him safely in the summer. It's a hot best ball summer. Oh my God.
Look at this, dude. I mean, this is the value hound draft to end all value hounds. ETN 40, JMO 57, Lamar 64.
Pete, if one of these stupid rooms from today ships it all, how enthused will you be? How pained will you be? I'm really curious if you have to Venmo one of these touts $1 million during a bit show.
You know what? Do you know what would soften the blow of having to Venmo someone $1 million? Also having $1 million in my bank account. So you know what? That's what they call a good problem to have. And you know what? If we have that, can you imagine? So you think you can tout? We could finally get some more eyeballs on it. It sounds like a win-win to me, Emo.
Pete, you could finally fund what the show needs, quite frankly, an army of behind-the-scenes videographers to catch all the drama, the moments my wife talks shit about the show. Like that's what you need to get for the show. And this is how we hire all of those snapback sports interns with their iPhones to catch every juicy moment.
Yeah, and then in that scenario, am I waking up every morning to review hundreds of hours of CCTV footage and having to comb through those for the interesting moments? Is that what you're subjecting me to?
First of all, hire an editor. They're great. I hear they're really, really cheap these days to help sift through that. But also, you just become the Truman Show host of like you were plugged in at all times, 1,000 monitors, and you're cranking the dials. To me, with $1 million, you don't do the Sam Sherman thing of like, well, I'm going to keep going to my job, keeping on, and act like nothing's changed. And I really don't understand the thesis behind that. Besides affluent vacations. You could finally just like have the bat cave up with all the monitors and truly just lean into being a reality TV show host as your main thing.
Well, this is the only reason I can't do that is because this is the David Kitchen idea here. Yeah.
I mean, Lemon falling back to us. We need a receiver. I don't see any reason not to click his name.
Yeah, I'm really light on Lemon, 2.6%. But if the theme of this draft is the value hound, I say we lean into it here. But yeah, I mean, the Kitchen Kitchen had the DFS house idea. The problem is we all are either married or have kids. And so it's a young person's game as far as someone who's going to go live in a house for 3 months. But I can't let Kitchen have the satisfaction of saying that show was his idea. So I don't know if I can do that.
Well, it's technically not your idea as long as we're not all in the same house. I just said get cameras at everybody's house. See, that's the difference. We can call it Big Brother Eye. You know what I'm saying? And you just have an eye at every house. Also, I'm married, but I think my wife would love it if she got a 3-month break. So
the sabbatical for me. Okay, there you go. Yeah, I don't know if I could pull that one off. I think it would be the end of me, the end of my marriage, the end of me as a good father.
That's why we do So You Think You Can Peter, and we cast your duplicate to go run again. I think this $1 million allows us a lot of runway to get as spider webby as possible with, replicating it in the aggregate.
Yeah. All right. I will take this under consideration. We will have lots of options after we win $2 million here in Best Ball Mania.
Fantastic. How are the taxes in New England?
Pretty bad. I should probably move to Miami real quick if we win.
Yeah. I do the Liam thing of move to Florida very quickly after winning.
And win the Tampa 200. That's part of the plan as well.
It's true. And then start your website 3 years later. What do you like to do here at this pick, Pete?
Dude, I think we go, if we could go Kraft or we go Reed or Downs. We are kind of behind at wide receiver, or we could keep the value hound element going.
I think let's grab Kraft because it's a little bit of value. It's a player I like. I don't know how you feel about Kraft.
I like him.
And it's another access to a stacking quarterback. If we get to that, 10, 11 round and we're not sure who we want, it's probably going to be a receiver, but you can't make a bad pick if it's a stacked quarterback, many are saying. And in the year of the Sims, what I've learned is once you've filled out your roster, 2 running backs, 1 flex, we filled that with ETN, our quarterback, and then we got our wide receiver 3. You can only start 3 every week, Pete. Some people forget. Well, now the last remaining thing is, the Sims say fill the tight end. Like, let's not catch up with, and I think Reed and Downs are very fine clicks there, but what Kraft offers you at the tight end position, much cheaper than guys like Warren and McBride and Loveland, is that touchdown upside, that multi-touchdown Gronk-esque, like in the 8th round. What I'm hearing is the Sims are like, hey, it's okay. Just make the best click in that round for the team. We'll figure it out in the aggregate. And I have no problem with that personally.
I heard you mention it with Davis. It surprised me that you're a sim bro. I thought you would have been the type that would like hold the line, be like, fuck the Sims. I'm a ball knower. I want to express my skill with these picks. And to hear you talking Sims, that's how we know everybody's capitulated.
Pete, that's how I know, like, you think you know Emo and you don't really know Emo, because anybody that knows me knows I dabble in a little bit of everything. Some would say I'm ball lingual and ball sexual, and I like to dip my toes and my fingers in a little different things, and I want to be the ball knower. I've been humbled that no matter how much I get right, that doesn't mean I win. And so maybe one thing I can always do is get better at drafting, get better at the games. Every year I think I've drafted better, drafted smarter, and this year I'd be a fool not to use some of the Sims to at least know what my competition's doing, and then also maybe adjust some of the outdated strict heuristics that guide my drafting philosophy in an updated landscape with updated tools, updated players, a sharper player field, and just different ADPs. We're on the clock. We have tight ends falling to us. Do you want to pull up a receiver, or do you just want to take one of these tight ends?
I don't mind pulling up Golden here on this wide receiver needy team and also see if that helps us set up a love double stack.
Yeah, I think pulling up year 2 Golden, not my favorite player, not my favorite click, but the opportunity is very clear with Dubs leaving, Reed locked into the slot receiver, who's his fans didn't. And, just from a best ball perspective, he's kind of that arbitrage spike week guy. He's going to catch maybe 3 or 4 catches a game, but it's hopefully going to be 80 to 100 yards, a touchdown or 2. That hitting your lineup when we're probably going to have 8 or 9 receivers on this team makes sense.
Yeah. I like Golden. I've been kind of soft fading Reed for now and tilting my exposures to Golden. I'll see if the price changes on that, but I have no problem with Golden at pick 105.
Yeah. And I'm okay double tapping some tight end again, just from what I've learned from the Sims of, hey, if there's an elite target earner or scorer that falls to you, it helps the team in the aggregate. So I think with Lamar, we can afford to push it. But if you really want the love double stack, I won't say no.
Who are you eyeing here?
Just Fannin.
Double week 11.
Let's go love. Let's love. It's a great day to love.
Yeah, it was like, I feel like I saw Goff go right, and we also had JMO, so that was a potential thing. And then just going golden with Kraft, I think getting that double stack there at ADP, and then you throw in the bye week there for Fannin. I kind of like getting the quarterback.
I think that's totally fair. I think on a team like this, we were probably going to have 3 tight ends, so Fannin was just another route for us to make sure our tight end is hitting our lineup with, probably top 10 scores every single week. That's probably what the Sims would say. The ball knowledge would say, yeah. I'm a little spooked about like how healthy Fannin is right now with the groin thing. I'm a little bit worried that they're going to try to do the Watson thing too much, but I'm kind of encouraged how much Shadur Sanders is in the mix to start. So I do think Monken's going to ultimately try to make sure the least bad quarterback is starting. It's a pretty good offense for him to do that in. A little bit more target competition. So I think it's very fair to not think Fannin's a total smash at cost compared to some of these guys like Laporte and Pitts with clear runways with much better offenses. So no problem with that.
Yeah, the groin stuff going away for Fannin has made it's like one of those things where he dips because of some of that uncertainty. And then once we get positive news, then it doesn't snap back in place. And then you get this window where you can click Fannin at 113 as much as you want.
Absolutely. All right, Pete, I'm itching for this. So if you
can I join you with a double? I think I have one more in me.
All right, let's do it.
Ooh. Oh man, you are liquid mogging me right now because I was at the end of my carafe.
Get mogged, Pete. And then hold on, one more for the ASMR folks.
Oh, that's I'm never on the other side of that. That was nice.
See, you called it a weirdo thing. It's just a good thing. Do we want to stack up Andrews here with Lamar?
I say we do it. The quarterback and their tight end stacks get that double symmetry there.
Feels nice. And then I think this receiver tier is a clear target for us. To me, they all have equal upsides and downsides. And again, tight end is kind of our way to arbitrage for touchdowns, for scores, catching up at what's hitting our lineup every week.
Yep. I like how this team's shaking out. High-end firepower at both quarterback and tight end here. We can tab over to just running backs and wide receivers.
We can just tab to wide receiver for a while. We got 3 running backs through 4 rounds. I think we're counting on these guys for a majority of the draft.
Yep.
I know you're a Hunter guy. I'm Coker curious. Cooper Jr. is that upside shot. Coker goes. So who's your preferred click here, Pete?
Hunter or Cooper, either one of them I think makes sense. I'm looking. I don't see any week 17 or week 16 correlation, so I'm good either way.
Let's grab you, Cooper. You're lighter on him than Hunter, and I do think in a room like this, Olave and JMO are very fun, but a team like this is where I do kind of lean into let's make those outsized bet like year 1 and year 2 receiver breakouts, given that we're going to have to do a lot of catching up, and these later rounds are probably going to be able where we scrape together some floor, scrape together some, it's a roll, it's an opportunity. I don't know how much upside's there. And making an easy bet on a first round talent on an offense we don't like, but there's a lot of paths for him to matter, especially matter late. And this team's going to need that at some point. And I feel decent about where we, made the floor for him early on. Cause like, again, Golden week 1's going to run 90 to 100% of routes, be on a good offense. We don't have to be too worried about what Golden is week 1.
For sure. Yeah, we actually talked about Cooper versus Hunter on our FFPC main event mini-sode series because we know it's a spot we're going to find ourselves in a lot where both those guys are really cheap over on FFPC as well in figuring out where do we want our exposures to settle. And I do think there's a lot of similarities to them in that I do think it's going to take Cooper a little bit of time to, be an impact producer. And so then it's just kind of the flavor of what kind of late season breakout, mid-season breakout do you want? And I don't feel super confident that one is a significantly better bet than the other. They both stand out to me. Like once Shaheed's off the board, Diggs, Coker here, like those two, like Cooper, Hunter, there's a big tier break as far as upside after those guys come off the board.
I think your argument there makes sense in best ball. I kind of disagree in managed. I would never feel comfortable with Hunter unless he's one of the only 2 receivers left. I really am skeptical that we're going to have a clear start Hunter and they keep that like quarter to quarter, half to half. I really am worried that even in the event he breaks out and seeing 50% or more of the work on offense, that's like design stuff, and that's not also half to half dependent of how the game flow is going, how the defense is playing. I really do think he's very hard to start and manage during this era of deep receiver room and just need on defense and a sharp team. But we're here on the clock. Is there any running back that tempts you to look away from these receivers? Personally, I'm not.
No, if we had Goff, maybe we'd go.
Who do you
Pacheco.
like here? I like Debo and Flournoy quite a bit.
Yeah, I've done a bunch of Flournoy today. Let's do another Debo share here.
Perfect.
Yeah, my pushback on the Hunter stuff, and I said this in our mini-sode as well, is we all agree there's a ton of volatility in his role. I think I even referenced it with O'Hara earlier. Shipley had, buying and selling narratives, and he's selling the idea that anyone knows exactly what his role is going to be. So to me, Travis Hunter is the take a peek play in redraft, and there's no opportunity cost. He's going at like ADP 180 in FFPC. So you can let the preseason play out. What if there's an injury in the same way you put a handcuff running back on your bench? See if you free roll that. And yeah, if he's buried, if he's not playing, you cut him back and you didn't sacrifice anything. I really want to take a peek on his week 1 role.
Totally fair. I think we're at the spot where we can do whatever we want to do. What do you want to do?
Yeah, I'm fine continuing our value hound theme here on Pacheco. I'm trying not to get too over my skis and not liking the player. We have JMO. We need another running back. Let's get the clear handcuff here to Gibbs.
Yeah, I think my pushback on Pacheco is threefold. Value after about pick 120 doesn't really matter. And that's what I'm having to tell myself is I get really excited. I'm a value hound at heart. Always have been, always will be. But value outside of like the top 100 doesn't really move the needle unless it's like 60 plus picks. And even then it's barely close to like a 10 pick slide in the top, 3 between 10 rounds. And I don't know that Pacheco's locked in right now because we know that guys like James Conner, Trey Benson on the Cardinals, one of them's on the bubble. One of them is a trade candidate for sure if healthy. Kareem Hunt is available and was a successful, just like success rate, change of pace guy on the Chiefs last 2 years. I do think that if they get into camp and Pacheco looks like he's looked the last couple of years, I think that's good for Gibbs, but I do not think that precludes a very sharp Brad Holmes in Detroit, especially Dan Campbell with a Super Bowl contending roster with a very tightly closing window, given all the contracts, all the talent, from going and getting a better, more trusted RB2 if Pacheco just isn't more useful than a guy like a warm body.
Oh, for sure. You're preaching to the choir. I have he's probably my lowest drafted running back in that range other than Sharps. But I picked my spots on those guys to show humility on, hey, how many times have we got burned with the RB2? Like what we're really hoping for is just that they're not the RB3. Like you said, could they sign someone? Could Connor get cut and join there? Yeah, that ruins the thesis. But if he does hold as the RB2, he's not that different from a Bigsby, from a Brian Robinson. And so then I picked my spots, 11 picks past ADP on a JMO team, as needing a running back 4. I'm okay not having I see here I have 11.8% Brian Robinson and Bigsby. I don't want to be too overweight those two relative to Pacheco in those kind of spots.
No, I think that's totally fair. I draft with co-hosts with 20+% of players, myself included. So hearing you say I don't want to get too overweight, that's how you know, even if he's a redraft bro, he's a best ball bro at heart. We're here on the clock. I see a lot of blue and green. What do you want to do here? I think Brian Robinson or one of the tight ends makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, let's do it. I think getting another running back here makes sense. Brian Robinson, it's not like we have any correlated stuff. I guess opposite New Orleans in week 17, but again, just stacking another running back who we feel good about their role.
Yeah, I think I normally don't go 5 running backs on a team where we got such heavy running back capital early, but the way this draft is shaking out with some of the cheaper quarterback 3s going off the board well ahead of us, we're probably a 2 quarterback team, most likely. So where are we adding the extra firepower? It makes a lot of sense to go get a guy who can hit our lineup in a contingent RB2. The Sims wouldn't like it as much, but what I talked about Davis was, if that guy's hitting your lineup, though, it's because he's getting all the work, and that guy is going to project to be a top 20, top 15 RB on the week. That's going to matter, especially if you're going lighter on one of the onesies.
Yep.
2562 probably a tight end or a receiver here. Anybody stand out to here you like? I like Bernard. I like Otten. Everybody else feels disgusting.
Yeah, Jeremy's my big stand in this range. I'm always happy to get him here. I do think.
Yeah, let's just send it on the rookies and pray to God.
Yeah, we'll grab him. The other, we could have had the conversation. Do you tack on the Geno Smith there, but not really needed?
I think at this point, if Geno comes all the way back to us, we go, well, okay, the room is giving it to us. Let's just take it. And if he doesn't, that's okay because it keeps us in structure, taking the shots at receiver that we absolutely need the whole season.
Yep. Yeah, I like Jeremy here. I think he's probably one of the safest rookie picks that also has similar upside to the other guys in that range.
And it really does feel that in all this 11 personnel Mike McCarthy thing, there's only going to be one true winner from a ceiling perspective out of Bernard and Freiermuth. And historically, we see that not be the tight end. I don't know that it's always going to stick, but if Bernard is good and his rookie prospect profile coming out was pretty pro ready, and if he grasps the offense, we've heard decent things so far. The beats like we expected to go to Bernard. So I'm really ready for a lot of good, positive camp news that'll steam him up way higher than a wide receiver 3 on a slower pace Aaron Rodgers offense should go. But we've seen the slot receiver in 11 personnel in a Mike McCarthy Rodgers offense be a really nice fantasy piece. And so at current cost, he feels like a clear click over guys like Wicks and Malik Washington to me from like what he offers you in ceiling.
Yeah, he's one of the few guys that normally you're just correlating here with your quarterback, but he's a guy that I'm willing to just take as a one-off to make some of these builds work.
Absolutely. Pete, what I did want to get back to and ask you is like, you've drafted a lot less volume this year. Is that something you feel better about, like going into next year of like, it was kind of nice not to be doing like 500 drafts this year?
Yeah, and I haven't felt the FOMO. I think we have so much news and so much information to come that I know I'm going to draft a lot in July and August. And so I just never felt the FOMO with it early. So yeah, I do think that'll be more of a habit for me going forward.
So Freiermuth does fall back to us if we want to just make a humility correlated Pittsburgh, one of these guys hits any given week bet, and then figure out what we want to do at our last pick.
Yeah, I think getting the third tight end here makes sense. We are good at quarterback, good at running back. Nothing at wide receiver we have to do here. We have a lot of options if we want to dabble in the Ravens wide receiver 2 business there. But yeah, we'll grab Freiermuth as our third tight end.
Is there any quarterback here that, you see any sort of value for this team?
No, like you said, if Geno had come back, I would have been very into that at that price for the stack with Cooper. But yeah, man, I mean, and we don't have, if we have an Atlanta guy, we have a Cleveland guy, maybe we have some of the Shadur Tua combo, but just an uncorrelated, I'm completely fine with Lamar.
Yeah, one thing I'm struggling with this year is like the Sims tell me any mostly dumb dog shit quarterback that could start 8+ games is a good pick in the last round. But I hate having dead players going into the finals. And a lot of these quarterbacks feel very live to be dead in the finals. So I just can't get over that. So as far as these late receivers, anybody that you really like, sounded like the answer is no. So I'd like to throw out Keenan Allen.
Yeah, I'm fine with Keenan Allen. I was looking Bateman Went, who makes the correlated bet there. But yeah, man, no, it sounds like you got Keenan Allen on the mind. Talk to me about Keenan.
I'm the only one that's been touting Keenan Allen since February. So, just every year Emo has a dusty dog shit pick that he takes in pre-draft and takes a little bit in post-draft and works out pretty well. Kareem Hunt last year, this year, guy that earned over 100 targets, over 1,000 air yards, had a top 10 first downs per route run, one of the stickiest metrics to show talent efficiency, and is really well correlated with fantasy points year over year. We know who he is. He earned 100 targets in an offense with a first round Rome Odunze and a not very good Caleb Williams year one. He's a red zone threat, and his yards per out run was still like top 25 in the league last year. So, and then week 18, the old man earned 13 targets running a majority of his routes versus none other than Patrick Surtain. So all in all, it sounds like, Keenan Allen last year said, I'm not going to retire and I'd love to play in Chicago or LA. Both LA teams have shown interest or have a need for a wide receiver 3, and Chicago is never out of the lineup if any health thing shows up. he's a guy that signs late in the season, has no problem stepping up and just being the quarterback's best friend. And in half PPR, a guy that can get 100 plus targets and score, anywhere from 4 to 8 touchdowns based on variance is going to be a smash of a pick. And at wide receiver specifically, I think we really needed to go for a guy who could have a week 1 role. And the second he signs, I think he does move up 2-3 rounds like we saw last year.
Yeah, no, I like mixing him in as a dart there. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious with any of those guys, Debo, Diggs, Keenan, you're going to get CLV on them the second they sign. We know how this market works.
This CLV feels like it could actually help you because Keenan was a top 24 receiver multiple weeks last season on the Chargers before the offense totally imploded. And I do enjoy everyone saying, well, Keenan Allen sucked last year. It's like, so did Ladd, so did Herbert. Like the second the offensive line was destroyed, the entire offense sucked. Like that's not shocking to me, but it's only being held against the 33-year-old because we like to give the young guys a pass.
The scariest thing for Keenan are the wide receivers he joins. Like that he is the vampire who sucks the targets out of the room. I mean, that's the thing you don't want to see. Like if he goes back to the Chargers, like, oh my God, those ADPs start to look.
And that's why I've been a little hesitant on buying like the rising cost of especially Ladd. I think Hampton, his floor becomes better and his ceiling isn't too much impacted because I don't know that Keenan takes a ton away from the RB and a Mike McDaniel offense specifically, but we've heard enough smoke about him with teams non-affiliated with the Chargers. And I think 2 times, one unsolicited, one directly asked of the Chargers GM, like, yeah, we're open to bringing Keenan back. We'll see what happens. So it's like, there's been enough smoke that I think the retirement risk for Keenan is like sub 15% without an injury. So at that point, it just becomes like, well, it's just one of these guys that we don't care about because he's not on a roster yet. But I think that forgets how training camp and teams operate going into August and September. They don't have, we see the vets skip more and more of the summer every year.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's recap this team, Pete. We did a 2-5-8-3. Lamar Jackson falling almost 10 picks past ADP. Jordan Love to secure our Green Bay double stack. We have Jonathan Taylor, Kenneth Walker as our 2 anchors. We get a falling Travis Etienne, just scooping up the value. Isaiah Pacheco doing a little bit of humility. Correlated bet with Detroit. Brian Robinson, another, hey, clear RB2. Let's just go get that guy in a gross range. Chris Olave, Jamison Williams, huge fall on him. Huge need for this team. Mekhi Lemon, Golden, Cooper, a lot of youth, a lot of, hey, what if he's the guy you need? Debo Samuel, Bernard, and Keenan just taking shots on guys who can get a CLV, get us some roll, outproduce their ADP, provide us some floor and ceiling throughout the season. Then we've got Kraft, Andrews, and Freiermuth at tight end, giving us some of that stacking, that youth, that touchdown equity and upside, and just making some correlated bets. This is one of those just like, hey, it was an autopilot team. It's not the prettiest thing in the world. I think it's going to have a lot of value if you check it on the Solver's Best Ball Explorer.
That's what I was about to do.
Let's see how much value we got.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. 52.6 ADP value, 40.2 draft capital value. This is the most ADP value I've had in a streamed Best Ball Mania draft all year for sure.
I fucking love value, man. It never matters like when it comes to like the playoffs, but goddamn, does it feel good.
Yeah, I mean, look at the green on the board here. I mean, we were behind at wide receiver, so we had to grab Golden, we grabbed Cooper, Debo, etc.
Those are all guys that could rise.
All guys that could rise, and we needed we needed wide receivers. Like we couldn't fully punt it more there. So yeah, man, I love when drafts come to you. I feel like in a lot of my stream rooms, I don't get these kind of values just because they're sharp drafters, they're picking them off. So for this one to work out like this is a really supercharged team ADP value wise.
Well, and it wasn't one of those ugly like uncorrelated unstacked things either. We got correlation, we got stacks. Like this was not something that like took us into like disgusting weird Sims territory at all. And that always feels really nice.
Yeah. And I think if you were to nitpick this team here, it would be just the wide receiver room. Also I'm noticing the Solver. I was like, we didn't draft Katron.
I was about to say, how did we take a 19th player? We hacked the system.
Yeah, no, they must have thought Keenan Allen was Katron Allen. They're like, no one's going to take Keenan Allen, right?
Pete,
It's Kaytron Allen.
We
No.
just found out Underdog has Keenan Allen listed as a running back. We have to draft him on all contests.
Exactly. But yeah, I think it's like we need some stuff to happen for these wide receivers. We need Lemon or Golden, one of them to hit. We're going to need our veteran wide receivers, one of Debo or Keenan. You know, we need a little help at wide receiver, but if it hits, the team is so supercharged everywhere else.
Well, getting Olave and JMO like made our job a lot easier, because it's kind of funny how we're flipping this build where normally guys like us would do 0 or hero running back, and we're looking for like, hey, we just need that serviceable RB2. We're just looking for a serviceable wide receiver 3 any given week. Like, we know what JMO and Olave can give us any given week. JMO's floor obviously a little bit shakier than you'd like, but with 7 receivers and 2 of them being first round, or 3 of them honestly being first round talents in their first 2 years, we know the upside could be later in the year, but Golden gives us a week 1 role potentially. But we're not asking, I don't think we're asking too much from a projected, median outcome, because we're only looking for 1 good receiver to help fill in that gap any given week.
Yep. We not a ton of week 17 correlation, but not a big deal there. We have the Olave, ETN, Brian Robinson. But when you're scooping up value, that becomes less of an issue for sure.
Many are asking, is week 17 simply zigging while others zag and everybody's building correlation, and you walk into week 17 uncorrelated as hell without a care in the world, because let chaos come to you. Let everyone else's perfect game plans fall apart as Derrick Henry just runs all over you and destroys the thesis. Many are asking.
Right. And sometimes, right, like in hindsight, if we knew this team and we had the conversation in round 2, maybe we go Chase Brown instead of Kenneth Walker, just knowing like, hey, if we're already close here, let's tilt it to week 17. But you don't have the benefit of knowing you're going to get Lamar Jackson at pick 64 when you're picking in the early second.
And we also made that decision when we went Olave over T. Higgins. T. Higgins with some of that correlation, but I do think you're going to, because of how the ADPs are currently falling, and it's only 40% fill in Best Ball Mania. But right now, I would imagine one of the most easily replicated, even on accident, correlated week 17 bets is Cincinnati and Baltimore, because you've got guys like Zay, Lamar, Henry, Chase Brown, and T all and Burrow all going on the same side of the board with regularity. So we kind of get unique in that way, that we are just saying we want the Ravens piece and we're not worried about the Bengals piece, which, by the way, we've seen the Bengals fall flat on their face in divisional games and score 0 points when you needed them in late season. That's not completely outside the realm of possibility.
Yep. The value too, and it's like everybody always wants to get fancy with the combos. We were mentioning like, oh, if all these running backs are flat, you just pull up Drake London. We can get really unique with these fallers. There are not going to be too many teams that have Lamar Jackson, JMO, ETN, and Olave on the same team. Like generally you're going to only have 3 of those 4, much less, 2 of them.
We talk about this, but this is why I hate pulling up combos for uniqueness before the end of the contest, because you just have no idea what you're basically going against. Like, you have no idea if it's truly unique at the end of the day, if it truly provides you anything, and you might be giving other teams in your draft room the true unique combos, and it's just a very tightrope to walk.
Yeah, someone mentioned in the chat, would we flip Freiermuth to what it would be 9th wide receiver and just rock Andrews and Kraft? I think that's an interesting combo.
I think that's totally possible. I think one of the things that makes it a little uneasy, though, is because you do have to admit, like, I love Kraft. He's 25 or younger. He has an elite athletic profile. Those 2 things typically give you a lot of really good historical hit rate on returning to form early and performing well in an efficiency standpoint for things like ACL tears. He's tracking to play week 1. So I do think Kraft also is a guy who could rise with just healthy, good camp news. I think he's got a really nice path forward to beat some of the touchdown regression narrative, because the role he plays in a yak-focused offense is going to just feed into his strengths. But you have to worry about like a potential 4 to 6 game ramp up physically for returning from ACL. One of the reasons why I'm a little bit worried about Neighbors, even if he avoids PUP, is he is going to have that slow ramp up. Kraft is kind of able to get ahead of that because he's going to be practicing full sooner, but it's a lot to put on his plate to like immediately come out of the, out the gates week 1. And Andrews, he projects well, but he looked like shit physically outside of the QB run hitting 22 miles an hour. He just looked like a husk of a man. So to me, it's a lot to ask full season Kraft and Andrews be your main two guys, I know it's a draft capital thing, but from a profile standpoint, it wasn't the strongest two tight ends I would feel comfortable rocking with, trying to make sure that we are hitting floor and ceiling at a very volatile position.
Yeah, and I think, draft capital wise, Kraft, Andrews is probably right on the tweener line of what you could normally do. And so, again, like Freiermuth is probably the last of this tight end tier. I mean, the drop from him from just like a route standpoint to a Njoku, Parkinson, Ingram feels pretty steep. So, yeah, I like doing the double tap there, the phantom stack. We don't need Rodgers. Let's just keep betting on the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, and he outprojects a lot of these receivers, and that's not a bad thing when we're building a team like this with this type of like, hey, we only want to be a week at wide receiver 3. We don't want to be weak anywhere else, floor ceiling every week.
All right, Emo, let the people know the solo stream schedule for you. Are you tomorrow or tonight?
I am tonight. I believe it's 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern on the Toxic Tower. I'm on day 10 of dealing with a respiratory and sinus infection, so we're having a great time. But we'll have a good time drafting as usual. I want to give out some of my league winning wide receiver takes. Give the people some winning picks that maybe aren't getting talked about. Just tout the guys I've been touting. Give some actionable advice in all formats. It is July. We're getting ramped up in hot best ball summers. But that's 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern on Toxic Tower. And then for the non-toxic emo content, come check out Fantasy Sanctuary with Tom and Rich and I doing all formats all summer long. We just had a very fun FFPC draft with some kicker takes this past Sunday. So
I saw those. Didn't know you were so passionate about kickers.
Pete,
we actually got sniped on Cam Little in our main event. We were actually upset.
So you know the feeling. Yeah.
What's he hitting? 80-yard bombs right now?
80-yard bombs, baby. And it's just time to unleash. What if Cam Little gets to go for the record and break all of redacted Tucker's records he set, Justin Tucker, and just let Cam Little be on the top of the leaderboard to make the NFL happy? What if no one's talking about the Cam Little record setting narrative this year? That's what I'm asking.
There you go. You can see it on screen, the full schedule for the solos, including emos tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on the Toxic Tower. It is time to wrap this up with Alex Cups, our final tout. Emo, we will catch you later. All right. Welcoming to the stream, our final tout on this morning's Best Ball Breakfast. Alex Cups, welcome to the show. As I told Emo, you are the captain now. This is your ship to steer. How you doing today?
Right on. Yeah. First off, thanks for having me on, Pete. Thanks for letting me run point on your channel. Absolutely an honor. And I can say, just watching the first 4 streams, first off, I mean, everyone that's left is just so good. Like, it's legitimately just so cool to even be considered in the same category as these guys. Like, all 4 of these dudes are awesome. Second to that, I think it's also safe to say that you definitely still have your fastball when it comes to touting. You've been just touting players all across the board for what, 3 hours, 4 hours now. So, hey, tip of the cap to you, my friend, because you've been killing it. So,
wow, look at you buttering me up here at the start. You know, BBG had me on his show last week and made me tout all of these running back and what was it?
I saw that.
2 wide receivers. So I'm having to dust off the tout muscles. I can't ask you guys to be touts without, doing it myself. So yeah, let's get it ripping here.
No, I love it, man. Yeah. So we pulled the 1-6. That to me would probably be my least favorite pick on the board, at least where things are shaking out right now. I see a pretty clear top 5. How do you feel about the 6th overall? I mean, do you see a tier break in the first round kind of similarly, or what do you think for this first pick?
And you can see it too, right? It's not even just by feel, it's by ADP. Gibbs, Bijan, 1.1, 2.0. And then you have the 3 clear wide receivers, 3.0, 4.0, 5.3. The next player, both JT and CMC actually have the exact same ADP right now of 7. So there is like a definitive tier break, both when you look at projections, when you look at ranks, and the market saying that as well. So yeah, it sucks to basically not have a clear pick there, and you almost feel like you're not getting quite the value you could out of round 1 otherwise.
Yeah, no, absolutely agree. So that being said, I mean, do you have a clear lean on one of these guys at 1-6? For me, I mean, I think you know what I'd do. I'd probably pull up Ashton Genty here, but you're the guest. I would love to hear if you have a lean at this spot.
You know what? If somebody fell, let's do this. I'm going to be a little bit of a portfolio bro at this point.
Okay.
This is my 76th Best Ball Mania draft. So we actually just crossed the Rubicon of half of my drafts being done. I'm at 3.9% Amon-Ra St. Brown. And like I said, I don't know if it was with Emo or O'Hara. It's not because I don't like him. I just have not been getting these draft slots. I have 10.5% JT, 11.8% McCaffrey, 10.5 Lamb, 6.6 Jefferson. Amon-Ra is the one exposure in round one where I'm like, I got to get that up.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think I kind of see Amon-Ra. This might be a little bit of an unpopular take, but I think Amon-Ra is closer to that tier of top 5 than he is to the guys like a CD or Justin Jefferson. I mean, he was second overall in expected fantasy points per game last year. And obviously we haven't seen a whole lot change in the offense for the Lions since last season. He's obviously still going to be their number 1. So I love taking him there at the 6th spot. And I think that leaves us, wow, look at Omarion Hampton, 1.9. That's crazy. I think that's going to leave us with a pretty good range of running backs, hopefully at 2.7. That would be my hope.
Yeah, it can go either way in this range. It depends on if someone's pulling up an AJ Brown or Drake London. But yeah, it looks like the way this is trending, we should have a decent option there. What you mentioned, so you on the sticks there, just every time, like you would have 40% Ashton Genty because you're just taking him as early as 106 in every draft?
No, I'm not. So I think, Davis kind of touched on this a little bit. Like I don't really want 40% of any one player. I mean, I do respect the guys that have that level of risk tolerance. And as much as I love to tout Ashton Genty, I'm still mixing in Christian McCaffrey. I'm mixing in the occasional Amon-Ra and CD there. But yeah, I mean, I probably will end up having like in my 101 Dalmatian slows, I'll probably have like 30% Ashton Genty if I had to guess. But yeah, so we're about to be on the board again here. I would love to see Henry fall. That would be ideal. I mean, if we get boxed out a running back, do you want to just rip a 0 RB build? And okay, we see Bauer. So we'll get one of the two between Achane and Henry. What's your lean there?
Yeah, it's funny. I pull up my combos here with Amon-Ra, 25% with Achane. I mean, Henry falling here, I think that's I would have been fine with a 0 RB build and even passing on Achane, but it's hard to pass on Henry here.
Yeah, I think the big dog's the clear pick for me. I think the drop from this range of running backs to Jeremiah Love. I think Devon Achane should be in that conversation with Jeremiah Love at the 2-3 turn. I'm not going to stop anyone from taking him ahead of Derrick Henry, but that's not going to be me. I've been on record this whole offseason that Achane's one of my least favorite picks at value, just with all of the things working against him in that offense for the Dolphins. So, if you want to have him at 2.6, you can take him because that's not where I would have him. So I think one of the skeleton keys this year, looking at this board, would be trying to figure out that second range or that second tier of running backs when it comes to guys like Chase Brown, Saquon Barkley, Kenneth Walker, Derrick Henry and Devon Achane in that range. Do you have any of those guys that you're taking a strong stance on, or are you trying to diversify, throughout that entire range of RB2s?
I'm trying to diversify. I will say, looking at that stretch that you just described, I do gravitate to Barkley. I gravitate to Kenneth Walker. Normally Cook, like we can kind of throw this Hampton price out because this is an anomaly. But yeah, I find myself being biased against Achane, against Chase Brown. I would say of all of the biases and looking at my exposures, and I've mentioned this today, Chase Brown is the guy I kind of want to catch up on. It's just like all of the concerns we've had for him year after year, drafting another back, the looming, P. Ryan or third down back. And I know P. Ryan's still there, but it's like this team has shown us they now trust him as a bell cow. And we like this offense. And I think I just need to come around and be a little more aggressive with it.
Yeah, 100%. So here I would be leaning Olave or Zay, but do you think we should go with another wide receiver?
Yeah, this is a tough spot. I don't mind. I know everybody on Davis's stream yesterday did the Zay Flowers, Derrick Henry, but I do think in context of having the big dog, I do prefer Zay over Olave there. The sticker shock is starting to get real with Zay. I mean, 3.6 is fine, but you'll now see him at the 2-3 turn, and it's like, whoa, what's going on?
He went 212 on the board with Davis yesterday, with Davis and I. So I think I do agree. It does get a little rich for my blood seeing him go ahead of the guys like Devonta Smith, T. Higgins, Rashee Rice. Like that's kind of where I draw the line with Zay, but I do see the legitimate upside case for him. This is a funny start. I feel like I've had this start in a lot of drafts, these three guys. But I really do like the double Ravens build with the bring back with Lamar Jackson. It's shaping up to be one of my favorite early stacks. Also, if we do see Derrick Henry get more involved in the receiving game like we were seeing him do a couple of years ago, I mean, he does have the case. I think you talked about it with PPR Tyler. This is a guy that has the expectation to have a top 5 ceiling, and we're getting him in the second round. And if we see that receiving value as well, I mean, that's a guy that could really break fantasy this year.
And one of the things I think about with the running backs in round 2, and I guess you could include Jonathan Taylor in here, James Cook makes sense, Barkley, like these guys who aren't going to catch as many passes, even Kenneth Walker, what have you, compared to the Gibbs, the CMCs, the Genties. It really is a bet on the offense, right? Because we are touchdown hunting. We're saying, give us as many of those goal line carries, those inside the 5 carries. And to me, that makes me want to correlate those type of players more, where it's like the CMC can get there. We've seen the weeks with the Niners where it's just the CMC show. Like nothing else needs to happen. He can get his 25 points. Derrick Henry, the weeks that the Ravens offense is rolling, he's going to be a part of that, you know, whether it's in the first half, getting them the lead, second half, salting it away. So those are correlations that I'm even more open to than normal.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think the delta between Josh Allen coming off the board here at 31 and QB2 and Lamar in the 50s and 60s, that's a range or a delta between those two positions that I can't remember over the past couple of years. So it feels like a great year to take advantage of a guy that's coming off the board so late that could easily finish as the QB1 overall, in my opinion. But
For sure.
So yeah, we're coming up. It looks like we have some falling value on Neighbors. I know you're probably not a big Neighbors guy from what I've heard. Would you like to slurp the Dipperino here if he falls, or would you prefer a guy like, you know, a G-Dub or take an upside swing on Luther Burden?
I was willing to slurp him at 43.
Okay.
He does go here. I might just check some combo stuff here. I don't have any pairings of these guys. Ted Arroyo, Garrett Wilson, Burden. I'm down to play the Ted Arroyo game here.
Let's do it. Yep. I like T-Mac there. Yeah, man, that would have been, I feel like, a good value on Neighbors. I know that there's a lot of FUD about the injury, and maybe it's not FUD, or I guess it would be FUD because it is fear, uncertainty, and doubt, but it's exactly that. You know, if he does defy the odds with this injury, he's a guy that, you know, should be going in the first round. We know the talent. We know he's a prolific prospect and shown to be a prolific wide receiver 1 in the NFL. So, I mean, getting him in the 4th round, it feels a lot like, you know, a guy like Jacobs, where if it works, you know, and the legal stuff works for Jacobs, if the injury stuff works for Neighbors, this is a guy that we're getting insane value on. So, yeah, I mean, I'm liking what we got going on so far. Just to do a quick recap, we have Amon-Ra the first, Derrick Henry, and then Zay Flowers, Tedero McMillan through 4 rounds. How you feeling about it so far, Pete?
Well, I'm so glad Imwald said this. And I can't tell if Imwald's being sarcastic or not, but I was going to say pro move saying the acronym for FUD to the crowd, because sometimes we toss around our best ball phrases and people don't know. And you hitting the people with the fear, uncertainty, doubt, I don't think he's being sarcastic. I think you helped him out there.
Yeah, that might be my crypto bro time from back in the day, speaking there. So yeah, what do you think here? I think the structural, Lamar, right? Just lock up the stack.
Or we could go JMO and try to set up a Goff double.
All right, let's do it. I like the Goff double. Let's push it. I mean, we just saw what happened with Emo. Can we get lucky? I don't know. We'll see.
It's unlikely, but there's 2 things that increase our chances. 1, we just saw him fall to 64. 2, we have Zay Flowers and Derrick Henry, so there's no other Ravens drafters. 3, the Josh Allen drafter is directly in front of us. I think having the JMO Faller again and the Amon-Ra, I kind of like clackety-clacking there and just seeing, hey, is this just Lamar Jackson falls in room day?
Yeah, hey. I mean, I'm all for Lamar Jackson falls in room day. And and there he goes. We jinxed it.
It's all right.
You know, all good. We can set up that Goff stack as well. But yeah, so let's take a look at the board real quick. I'm just curious what we're looking at coming back.
Yeah, I just want to give a quick shout out here. I did notice my friend, my colleague, my fellow ship chaser, Jacob Sanderson, in the 1 hole. He just fluked his way in. He promises he wasn't bum hunting us. He does say give him hell cups. Jacob starts Gibbs, Breece Hall, Pickens, Waddle, Loveland.
Love that start. Yeah, and I think we're probably not getting Rachaad White in this room, if I had to guess. So yeah, right now we're rocking 1 running back, 4 wide receivers, no quarterback, no tight end. I mean, I feel like we're kind of boxed out of that next tier of running backs. I think we might have to rip a our hero or RB build out. Is that kind of what you're seeing? I mean, at least from my early experience in best ball, I don't think there's really any running backs left in this range unless Jadarian Price, he's gone. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think here?
Yeah, so pick 67, like the running back tier, like you said, is completely wiped. This is one of those spots where it is tough of like, do you capitulate? Do you give in and pull up a running back? But I look at this board and I'm like, who could we potentially get at 78? Could we get a Chuba, a Warren, or a Ramondre falling past ADP? Maybe it's unlikely to have multiple options, but is there a chance one of them comes back? My gut in this spot is to stay stubborn, either entertain a quarterback or another wide receiver, or we just say, this is playing too fast and loose. Let's grab Tony Pollard here, 5 picks ahead of ADP.
Yeah, I could go either way. I mean, I like Tony Pollard pulling him up if we need to, if we feel the need to capitulate there. But I would also cape up for a wide receiver here, like a Marvin Harrison Jr., maybe a Jordan Tyson for rookie upside. But I could go either. Okay, Marv goes. So it's between Tyson and Pollard. I'm cool rocking with the wide receiver and just seeing if we can push Pollard, if that's what you want to do.
I think so. I mean, I like Tyson a lot. I prefer Tyson to a lot of the wide receivers who just went, Harrison, Rome, Thomas. So to get him at 67, we've done a lot of running back heavy builds today. Let's see what a true anchor RB build looks like. We got Derrick Henry. I like it. We just grabbed our 5th wide receiver.
Yeah, 100%. No, I'm all about, trying to switch up the narrative a little bit. I know this year the build meta, it seems to be, is that RB heavy build, that 2 RB start. I think there's other ways to win, and we never know until we look back on the year, and it's been different every single year in BBM. It's like the strategy changes, and we try to emulate what made sense the previous year, or we try to, I feel like we swing too far down the pendulum in some ways on a year-over-year basis when it comes to best ball builds. So I'm all about trying to switch up the builds a little bit and diversify the portfolio and really, do some different stuff. So 1 RB through 6 rounds. I dig it. And I think we could really put together a strong RB room with some of those late round guys.
Yeah, the fear here is in this spot. The 2 things is like we have a couple wide receiver heavy teams directly to our left. We're going to see running backs come off the board. The other thing, the anti 5 wide receivers to start is just like we're probably going to only draft 1 more. Right. So you can find yourself in these spots where your flexibility is limited. It doesn't mean you can't pull this off. And this is exactly what happened.
That run is so brutal.
So this is the spot where I would say we grab Kraft probably and just continue to try to beat our opponents at other positions.
Yeah. I mean, hey, they're going to have to stop drafting running backs at some point, right?
You would think. This was, I think, honestly, just a victim of the right side of the board is the running back heavy side. Yeah. And maybe if we would have stared at the board a little bit more, we would have been like, man, there's 2 wide receiver heavy 0 RB builds right behind us. They're going to scoop up Ramondre. They're going to scoop up Chuba. But let's head into uncharted territory here. Let's get uncomfortable.
Let's do it, man.
Let's attack the onesies, build out our wide receiver room, and then we will get very creative with running back sleepers down the stretch.
I love it. I mean, hey, I've been in the lab a little bit on some of these late round running backs, so at least I'll have a chance to keep up for some of those guys. But yeah, happy to walk with you hand in hand into this uncharted territory, Pete.
Well, speaking of uncharted territory, I'm going to give you one of the true tests here. Actually, I need to time it perfectly because I don't want to get caught with literally my pants down, but I am going to go to the bathroom at some point. This is generally a move I have to pull on Best Ball Breakfast. So get ready to monologue here when I do that. But let's make this pick here at 91, and then I'll leave you to your own devices.
All right. I love it. Yeah. So for me, it looks like we're coming up on, we have a couple running backs that we could take a stab on. I'm a fan of Blake Corum. I'm a fan of RJ Harvey. Rico Dowdle, I'm kind of indifferent about, but for the structural reasons, I'd probably lean one of those guys. Like you said, I think we're pretty set at wide receiver, and we don't have any of our stacks for quarterback yet. So are you looking at those guys as well? What are you thinking? There goes RJ Harvey.
Yeah, RJ Harvey goes. Yeah, looking at the quarterback stuff, obviously Goff is a target for us. Bryce Young is in the back pocket. Jordan Love makes sense with Kraft. I do think if we're being prudent here, because if we take a wide receiver, even though I like Godwin, who just comes off the board, like we're done. We're done at 6 wide receivers. So I think just going with a Rico, a Corum, or a Manungai is probably the smart thing in this spot.
Okay. I dig it. And yeah, in that case, this would be Blake Corum for me. And then once you run to the bathroom, I can just give about a 2.5 minute cook sesh on Blake Corum.
I love it.
As long as
Yeah,
someone doesn't spoil it.
I'll put these other guys in the queue as well. He is here, so
Okay.
I'll let this time out, and you cook about
Perfect.
Blake Corum.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, Blake Corum here, what are we getting him at? Is this, 91 overall? Not the ideal guy that you have in your RB2 position, but let's remember this is best ball, right? So it's not like this is a guy that we have to plug into our starting lineup and predict when he falls into the end zone. I mean, this is a guy that, we don't know for sure that Kyron's going to be that bell cow again. I think that we could see Blake Corum really step in and take more of like a 50-50 workload in the LA Rams offense. And we know that the Rams are going to have one of the strongest offenses in the league this year. So, we have an injury out with Blake Corum. If Kyron goes down, Blake Corum could seriously be the guy you needed in 2026. And we're getting him here at 91 next to a guy like Rico Dowdle, a guy like Kyle Monungai, who's one of my least favorite picks on the board. So, I mean, this is a great pick, I think, for a 0 RB build. This would be the guy that I would target out of all these running backs we see going here in the 8th round. I think I like Corum over all of them, including Harvey, who we saw go earlier. So, yeah, I think Corum's a great pick for our build. What do you think, Pete?
I do as well. Like it's, there's kind of two flavors of picks in this range where it's like, I'm going to lock in some bankable touches with a Dowdle or a Dobbins. I guess you could include Monungai in there, or you can go the floor route. Do you get the Kenny Gainwell and the Rashad White? As kind of Nez says in the chat, Corum has a lot of outs. That's why I like him. It's like, I think he's going to have some standalone value. We know they trust him at the goal line. He was really starting to eat Kyron's lunch there a bit. There's lots of ways he can win here, whether it's usurping, whether it's an injury, whether it's just standalone value in an offense that scores a shit ton of points. So to me, he kind of triangulates a lot of things you want in a 0 RB build, in an anchor RB build like this.
Yeah, 100% agree. So I think, are we looking at completing some of our stacks here? I mean, is it too early for a guy like Goff? No, I think that's reasonable, right?
I think it is. This is the spot where old Pete would be like, man, 7 picks at ADP reach, blah, blah, blah. But if we don't get Goff, not only does it blow up the double stack, but it probably means that there's a quarterback avalanche behind us. And now we don't. And this is the other thing about 0 RB builds, right? Or anchor RB builds is we can't build out back stacks because we don't have any other wide receiver bullets in our quiver to mix up gun and bow and arrow analogies there. So I think you just bite the bullet there, grab Jared Goff and figure it out from there.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I mean, the one thing I'd say is, even if we don't have any wide receiver bullets left in the quiver, we do have what I think you mentioned earlier, some of those sneaky little RB2 back stacks. I think since we would be grabbing a lot of those backup RBs, some of those are honestly some of my favorite little stacks to add on in the back end. Some of the RB2s on these teams with their respective quarterbacks. But I agree. I mean, when it comes to ADP, I saw you and Emo just had like the most ADP value on a team. And while that's fun and all, like I think Emo mentioned, it's not what wins you championships. And it really comes down to, we need Jared Goff on this team, like straight up. And if we don't get him, then I think we would look back and very much so regret letting him pass us by just on the fact that it was 4 picks ahead of ADP.
To me, it speaks, they're completely different drafts, but it's you give in what the room, or you take what the room gives you, right? And if the room's giving you all this ADP value, you maximize that, build the most logical team around that ADP value. In this one, we are telling a coherent story of like, we need the Lions to smash. That 7 picks of ADP value is like negligible in the context of we need Goff throwing multiple touchdowns every other week to Amon-Ra and JMO. So I do think you got to be very contextual within the draft. You need to be contextual with what's happening in the room. And I have no problem there as we see Dart, Purdy, Kyler Murray come off the board.
Yeah. So how far down the board right now is Jordan Mason? Because I've really come around on him. Do we want to just lock up Jordan Love and get that stack?
It's tough, man. It's tough. I think the running back stuff, I've been wanting to get some Mason today. Let's do Mason. Let's have this conversation with, there's still Shuck, who stacks. There's still Bryce Young. So let's take the position of need. Talk to me about Jordan Mason because I'm really warming up to him.
Yeah. So this was This was one of the guys that I was the most grossed out by like a week ago, like a guy that I would simply never click. Like I was completely out on Jordan Mason. Then I thought about it a little more. I think you mentioned the beat reports on Jordan Mason recently. One that I saw was Zane Donani, who's at Fantasy Points. Great follow, by the way, on Twitter. He had a quote from a beat reporter that said on July 4th, by the way, so very recent, "This is Jordan Mason's backfield, and Aaron Jones will mainly spell and eat into passing downs. Vikings might even limit Jones more this year since last year he wore down the stretch." That to me sounds like we're getting the RB1 on the Vikings offense, who, is projected, I believe, to have a pretty good offensive line. Obviously, we don't think Mason's a super great talent by any means, but there's two teams in the NFL that have their RB1s going after pick 100, and it's the Vikings and the Commanders. Okay. And we're getting one of those guys in round 10 here at what is it, 115? I mean, to me, that just feels like, especially for our build, right? Especially for our build, this feels like an absolutely insane pick.
I just wrote about Mason the other day in the Fantasy Life newsletter, and kind of how I framed it was I don't want to make the same mistake that I made with Javonte Williams last year, which is I'm out on the running back, but in on the passing game just because I don't like the age and the explosiveness or lack thereof of the running back. And Mason fits that bill perfectly. Tyler Shuck, man, I think we have to grab him here.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm cool with locking up Shuck to Tyson. I mean, looking at that wide receiver room too, Tyson, wide receiver 5 is pretty sick. I like that.
Yeah, Jordan Love went to the golden drafter, which makes complete sense. They only had one quarterback. They want to stack that up. I do prefer Love to Shuck, but again, to get the stack there at cost, Jordan or Tyler Shuck's ADP 122, we get him passed. So we basically get a double value on both Shuck and Tyson there. And now we're not, completely up a creek at the quarterback position.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Pete, would you mind showing me the team real quick? I'll do a recap for the audio listeners through 11 here. So, started off with Hero RB, Derrick Henry, and wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown at the 1-2. And then we went with Zay Flowers, Tedero McMillan, Jamison Williams, Jordan Tyson, Pistiello, all the way through the 6th round. So, 1 running back, 5 wide receivers. Found ourselves in a little bit of an RB hole, but we didn't let it get the best of us. Grabbed Tucker Kraft, and then hit some of the best 0 RB candidates, in my opinion, Blake Corum, Jordan Mason, and found 2 stacks for our team in Jordan Goff and Tyler Shuck. So I'm wondering what you're thinking about this team so far. It's definitely different than I feel like a lot of the teams we've done today and teams in general that people have been drafting this season. So yeah, what are your opinions here?
I like it. I think it's either figuring out, can we get a running back value we like here at 139? And if not, can we be really uber patient where it's like, let's grab tight end, maybe we grab Bryce Young, get that other quarterback, whatever, and just say our last 3 picks are going to be running back darts, those contingent guys, because we know that once we hit that tier from like 140, basically it's the Woody Marks range. The Woody Marks range on, it's like, man, those guys don't really separate from some of the 17th and 18th round guys. And so it's just making sure you don't panic reach on them. And I think if we let this draft come to us, we can stick this landing.
Yeah, 100%. Let's land this plane. Let's take a look at the board. I mean, C-Rod value hunting here would be absolutely.
He goes.
Damn it. All right. Okay.
Tracy or Mitchell here. Do you like either of those guys? There's no real correlation here, or we could grab another tight end.
Let's grab Chigakonkwo. I think he's a really solid bet at tight end. A guy that we see stepping into that tight end 1 role for his team and one of the highest flying offenses that we're expecting in 2026. I like him more than Isaiah Likely. I think there's an argument for him over a guy like Jake Ferguson with CD and Pickens healthy. So I think that's a solid pick. I mean, it's not like a guy I'm caping up for in every draft, but feels like a reasonable tight end 2 for us there, even without correlation.
Yeah. And again, I like Chig. It's more just like thinking through because we are catching up. We have a lot of things we have to accomplish, like probably a quarterback 3, ideally. We need more running backs and the tight end, we probably could push it a little bit more with Kraft. I guess in hindsight, I'm wondering, like, do we just bite the bullet there on another running back? But I'm with you. I think Mitchell and Tracy, they're tough clicks for me. I haven't gotten Tracy much at all. It's so much easier to sell yourself on the Keaton Mitchell upside scenarios, where Tracy, at this point with the Scatabo health trending so positively, it's like, Yeah, you're getting handcuff value, but you're kind of paying a premium on that handcuff value relative to other RB2s.
Yeah, no, that's my thoughts exactly on those guys. I really don't see them separating from some of the guys I see in the next 3 rounds. I think, ADP, once we get to this range, you can really just take your shots where you need to. Like, I mean, for example, a guy like Isaiah Pacheco, like in the 13th, I can't get there. But yeah, let's take a look at who's there for running back.
I was surprised though. I thought Rohan with Coker was going to go Bryce Young to get his second. I think we lock up Bryce Young.
Okay, let's lock up Bryce Young. I like Bryce with T-Mac. I was also thinking of potential Stroud with a back stack like Noel for our last wide receiver, but I'm cool with Bryce. We're betting on the T-Mac upside, right, with this team. So I feel like that makes sense.
And if we look at the running back board, we are in that territory I just described. Woody Marks, Jonah Coleman, Sharbs. Wide receiver here, flat as hell. Tight ends, lots of options, I think, to come back. We just did Chig. And so to me, that just funnels me back to the quarterback. We knew we were in tweener range with Goff and Shuck. We've made a big bet on Ted Arroyo, our 3rd overall wide receiver. Let's complete this trilogy, a Jared Goff double stack, a Tyler Shuck stack to to Tyson, and then Bryce Young to Ted Arroyo.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I'm with it. I think let's start thinking about hammering some running backs. Let's really build out that room coming up here. I know that, you're not a huge fan of Woody Marks, are you?
No, but again, it's in the same way like I was drafting with squares, right? And I'm not a fan of Wan'Dale Robinson, and yet certain builds force you into that pick making sense. And one of the huge things, we've talked about a lot recently is like in redraft, some of those picks just make no sense to me, like a Woody Marks, a Wan'Dale Robinson, but those points matter. The floor of those points matter in the way best ball scoring actually hits. And so you sometimes find these builds where, yes, a Woody Marks makes sense on a fragile running back team like this.
100%. And I'll be the first to say it. And I'm not proud of it, man enough to say it. I'll be the guy that stands up for Woody Marks. I'll be the guy in the back of the classroom standing up. Everyone's staring at him. I think David Montgomery is the worst pick on the board, personally. I think he's a pure dead zone back in its purest sense. And looking at Woody Marks' year 2 comps that I grade out for all these prospects after their first year, taking into account his rookie performance and his prospect profile, his top comp is Ramondre Stevenson, which, it's not like a world beater by any means, but having Ramondre Stevenson in his range of outcomes, Tyler Algier, Latavius Murray, some guys that actually were relevant. I wouldn't be surprised to see this be more of a 50-50 split than what we think right now. But yeah, let's get back to the running backs. Anyone here that catches your eye? Do you want to grab another one of these guys? Dylan Sampson, perhaps?
Yeah, I'm down with Dylan Sampson getting a little of the pass catching upside there.
Yep.
I'm light him. I'm light Coleman and Sharbs. Talked about that today. This is what I would say going back to the Montgomery stuff. We've seen what the Woody Marks lead back looks like in this offense, and it was a ton of volume and it was not much efficiency. They have really signaled they brought in David Montgomery to boost their efficiency at the goal line. I don't think there's any illusions that Woody Marks is going to have that role. I think you're hanging your hat on a pass catching plus upside thing, but Montgomery, I think, can catch the ball too. We saw them use him in that way in Detroit. I think if Montgomery stays healthy, it's going to be really hard for Woody Marks to hit in a big way. And then even if Montgomery gets hurt, he'll definitely be better than his draft cost because he'll be getting 18 touches a game.
Right.
But I don't think he is like one of those guys that buries you. It just becomes this volume play. And I think there's a lot of these guys who have contingent volume play there. So I get the floor argument with the pass catching. I just don't really see any paths outside of injury that he's usurping Montgomery in a meaningful way.
I wouldn't say that he's a favorite to usurp Montgomery by any means, but I think your bet that you're making with Montgomery is there is still an aspect of him still needing to be good. And I think there's a reasonable outcome there's a dimension out there where Dave Montgomery is completely washed. And we see, late season or like late career Joe Mixon stuff from Dave Montgomery. And I don't know. I think there's a path where potentially we see Woody Marks eat into, like you said, that passing role. That passing role is huge. I do agree Dave Montgomery can still catch the ball, but that being said, we know Woody Marks can too. So, what do you think here? Do we want to grab another running back? I mean, I'm not seeing many towards the top of the board ADP wise. Anyone stick out to you here?
Let's do like a tight end or Tesla for the triple stack. What do you got?
Okay, let's go Hawkinson.
Yeah. This is a tough range. Like you said, all the running back picks will be available to us next round that we would want. We were at the spot where we can swing back now and grab a wide receiver or two. Obviously wanted the third tight end. The Hawkinson ADP fall is again negligible, down to 174, but let's get another tight end in this room. The Kraft Chig Hawkinson triumvirate there is pretty solid.
Yeah, totally agree. And I'm seeing some stuff. I want to revisit the Mixon thing real quick.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I do agree that like the median outcome here for Dave Montgomery is that he isn't washed. But when we're getting his backup, who I think is a pretty direct backup in this case, in Woody Marks, who was a rookie last year, has significant room to improve. We see these guys take year two leaps all the time. And, if we do see that Dave Montgomery is washed, then this becomes an instant smash for Woody Marks at his current value, especially given the fact that he has a pass catching profile and he has a quarterback that dumps the ball off all the time, right? So there are a couple outs here to Woody Marks being really valuable. I know everyone hates it. Okay. I don't like saying it, like I said, but I think this is a guy that we need to give a little bit more respect to as a community. So sorry, I'm working up a sweat talking about Woody Marks. Holy shit.
No, I think you make a good case. And it's kind of like the Pacheco thing, right? Of you want to show some humility. The depth chart behind him is non-existent. You'll look it up and there's guys like British Brooks are on that depth chart. So you got a clear RB2 here. Greg mentioning in the chat, they traded up to get Woody Marks. They also traded for David Montgomery and immediately said, we did not like how last year played out without Joe Mixon and with Woody Marks as our lead back. So that's pretty damning there. But then they don't add the extra back in the same way the Broncos did with Jonah Coleman. Like that does say they feel confident with that 1-2 punch. So yeah, you have me very open to him being a solid RB2, but I do think it's on teams like this that are thin. I don't want Woody Marks where I have 3 to 4 guys up top that are 100%. Really strong, because then the floor element in the safety of his profile is less intriguing.
Totally. Yeah. Very build dependent with a guy like Woody Marks. So yeah, we're about to be on the clock. It's Alvin Kamara for me, like all day.
I was going to push you to Alvin Kamara.
If you don't need to.
This is a running back weak team. It's a Tyler Shuck team. I mean, if there's ever the spot to take Alvin Kamara, it's right now.
Yeah. 100%. Give me a little something on Alvin Kamara, Pete. Let me hear your cook.
The little something on him is he's probably completely cooked as a rusher, but do you know who else is completely cooked as a rusher? Probably Javonte Williams, Christian McCaffrey. Like, this is not an efficiency play. This is a guy who's going to catch balls. He is going to probably still steal a couple high value touches because the team won't be afraid to, feel like they have to yank him off the field when they get in the red zone if they're in those situations. So the best comp for it is probably like a poor man's Rachaad White play, right? Where it's like, you're going to have the pass downs. The team trusts you. They'll probably give you a goal line carry or two, and you could just be a massive pain in the side, in the ass for Travis Etienne. I don't click him a lot, but again, this is the team to take Alvin Kamara on.
Yeah, this is the team to do it. I mean, this is one of the few running backs that I think goes in this range that we see a guaranteed role for in week 1. I think we see a guy that comes out with at least, I don't know, what would you put the over under on percent of snaps for AK-41 in week 1? Like 40%, 30%?
Yeah, I was going to say probably in the 30 to 35 range.
Yeah, I mean, that's a guaranteed role there on a 0 RB team. That's a guy that I'll be targeting all day, even though he is washed. But, we get points for pass catching in this format, even if it's not a full point. But so we're coming back up. We're going to want one more wide receiver. I'm guessing we're set at tight end. Any wide receivers here that catch your eye?
I do Brazel on teams where I have Bryce Young and need another wide receiver, or we could also just grab our last running back if you like one of these guys a good bit.
I do actually. Or no, you know what? Let's do Brazel. Let's do Brazel. I think there's a running back that we can talk about in the last round that I'm very comfortable taking. But I do like grabbing Brazel there with Bryce Young, with Tedero McMillan, building out a little bit of that Carolina bounce back year stack. It's not super pretty, but sometimes we'll hit the ceiling outcome on some of these teams, and these are the ones that really go all the way for us. So, I mean, how are you feeling about this so far, Pete, with what we got? It's definitely different.
I like it. The thing I was thinking through when you do a wide receiver build like this, that's, we had 5 wide receivers through 67 picks, heavy hitters, Amon-Ra, Zay, Tedoroya, J-Mo, Tyson. You're going to be light on the quantity. Is that last pick, do you swing for the upside, which is what we did with the mystery box rookie, obviously correlated, or do you take the safer bet? I would say a guy like Cooper Kupp, a Darnell Mooney, a Tyquan Thornton we've talked about today, because you can make the argument either way of hey, you have this strong base, swing for the fences, or you could say, hey, when this team has an injury, when a bye week hits, you might just need some floor points to make this work.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think like you said, you can make the argument either way. My lean would be towards the upside swing, just because I feel like you're going to want to really hit one of those upside swings in a battle for $2 million. So if Brazel's the guy you need, he's the guy you need, and we grabbed him in the second to last round. So that would be my initial lean, but I can definitely see the argument the other way, where you want someone to fill in on bye weeks, et cetera, et cetera. But, with 5 really strong wide receivers, we have an extra to fill in on a bye week and still fill out through the flex. So that's kind of where I'm at.
And I'll say here, I want to hear your running back take, but I also don't think it would be bad to go 7 wide receivers here and stand pat at 5. Henry, Corum, Mason, Sampson, Kamara, I'm not feeling as naked there as I did, 6 rounds ago.
Okay. I mean, you're the guest, Pete. I'll defer to you. If you want to grab a wide receiver here, let's do it.
Well, quick. I just want to know, do you have a running back to pound the table for? Who? Pound it.
Kalen Black.
Okay. Hey, wait, did he just go?
He did. Holy shit. Okay.
He did. Yeah.
In that case, I could go Jordan James, take the flip side of that coin, or we grab another wide receiver.
Let's grab another wide receiver here, and I will let you wax. If your take is it 49ers backfield or is it Kalen Black?
It's a little bit of both. It's a draft capital bet, and it's the fact that the RB2 for one of the best offenses in the league is going in the last round. It's not like I have a super, super strong take either way in terms of whether that is Kalen Black or Jordan James. But the Niners did just draft this guy in the 3rd round. And even though we know that Kyle Shanahan is, not the best drafter by any means in the NFL, it still does mean something when we look at historical data, seeing a running back go in the 3rd. And I have seen early reports that he's looking like the more dynamic of the two. He's looking like the guy who has more of a dual set skill set, a guy more adjacent to a Christian McCaffrey than Jordan James. Obviously, he's not Christian McCaffrey in terms of skills, but if we were to see a Christian McCaffrey injury, I do think there's a reasonable outcome where Kalen Black steps up as the guy we need in that dual threat skill set in 49ers in San Francisco. Sorry.
For sure. And I think everybody kind of unanimously agrees that the running back 2 on the Niners has a lot of value. The issue is, from all the reporting right now, it sounds like a true coin flip, with Mason Jordan James is the incumbent and Black is the guy that they spent a lot of draft capital on. Clearly they want to save some face on that and look like they made the right decision. So that's a spot I am mostly trying to avoid right now, especially because guys like Jaden Blue and Marshawn Lloyd, who I think have a clear RB2 role on their own team right now, are just a little safer. And then boom, if we get the Kalen Black buzz, if we get the Jordan James buzz, all right, full steam ahead. Let's start packing our bags.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's a totally reasonable approach as well. Just waiting to hear a little bit more, maybe through July, early August, and then really pack the bags as he steams up the board. I think that's totally fair. So let's do a quick recap of this team real quick. So we took a 0 RB approach for those of you who are just tuning in, or not 0 RB, sorry, hero RB. But up top at quarterback, we have Jared Goff, Tyler Shuck, Bryce Young. For our hero RB, we grabbed Derrick Henry in the 2nd round and then filled out our RB room down the stretch with guys like Blake Corum, Jordan Mason, Dylan Sampson, and Alvin Kamara. And then wide receiver, super strong. Obviously, this is the strong suit of our team. We have Amon-Ra, Zay Flowers, Tedero McMillan, Jamison Williams, Jordan Tyson. So 5 wide receivers through the 60s. Followed that up, waited till the 200s to grab Chris Brazel and Tyquan Thornton. and then built out a 3 tight end room with Tucker Kraft, Chigakonkwo, and TJ Hawkinson. So Tom says, not asking the guest to recap it. No, I've learned I'm no longer asking the guest to recap my teams. So
that was so good. That was good.
We're learning, man. Can't say I didn't take notes on those comments. So yeah, Pete, what do you think? How you feeling about this team?
I like it, man. What happens with me is, you get bored with doing the same type of drafts over and over again. So it's fun to kind of head out into the high seas without a life preserver and see if you can tread water. And I feel like we did. And the whole name of this game is don't panic select running backs at a bad price just because you feel behind the 8 ball at the position. And I think we were really patient with Corum. We did pull up Mason just slightly. We grabbed Sampson, Kamara. Yeah, I think relative to other running back rooms, this isn't going to look as strong. But again, this is trying to essentially execute a 0 RB thesis with an anchor RB build. And I think we blended it pretty well as far as Mason and Kamara being guys we'll feel good about early season touches. Sampson hopefully gives us a pass catching floor, and then all of the outs with Corum. So is it thin? Is it fragile? Absolutely. But you can see this working with the supercharged wide receiver room, with the stacks hitting. We just need a couple of things to break right in this running back room. And then you have a really unique build that's making some noise.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I wanted to ask you one question looking back on this team. What was your reasoning behind passing up that final running back for a guy like Tyquan Thornton? I mean, is it just pretty much to add another body in the wide receiver room in case of injury? I mean, what was it you looking at that? It seemed like you looked at that running back room going into the last round and you felt like it wasn't as thin as we previously thought.
For me, it's less. I think it's a tweener pick just as far as like what is of the most need, but it's more a product of what was available to us. And I think the wide receiver dart there, whether it's Cooper Kupp, Tyquan Thornton, I think that's so much stronger than Jordan James, Claiborne, Justice Hill, Kamani Vidal. I just rattled off 4 running back threes there. You can go Connor, Jalen Wright, all of these guys where you're taking on so much 0 risk, where I don't think Tyquan Thornton is a 0. I don't think Cooper Kupp is a 0. And, one of the things I've noticed from drafting with Karain in the Sims is they've been very steadfast in saying, do not force a structural pick that is a bad pick. Like, do not just get a running back because you feel weak at running back. You're better off, solidifying the strengths of your team than making a subpar selection just because you feel naked at a position.
Interesting. Okay, that's a really good way to put it. Just not take the player at the position you really feel like you need if it's not the right guy. So yeah, I'm all about it. I mean, you sold me. I agree. Tyquan Thornton, not a 0, could definitely hit our lineup a couple weeks.
All right, Cups final draft in the books. Let people know, when are they getting the Cup solo stream?
Yep. So I'll be on my channel tomorrow at Cups Analytics at 8:30 Eastern. Just hit 1,000 subscribers. Make sure you check it out. My draft, like I believe Michael O'Hara said, not going to be a best ball draft. Okay. I told Pete when I got into this competition, and I think in my intro video, I'm not a best ball bro at heart. I'm a dynasty bro at heart. Okay. And I'm getting back to my roots in the dynasty space in my draft tomorrow, or in my stream rather. And I will be tier listing the 2026 rookies, not based on their talent, right? Because obviously when you base it on their talent, we're looking at rookie draft picks. But in this case, I'm going to be looking at my favorite picks on the board based on value, right? So whether that's who's going at the 107, who's going at the 201, those could be S tier, right? So that's what I'm looking at. I'm going to go a little bit more into the game theory behind Dynasty, maybe maneuvering around the board a little bit where I see tiers in this rookie class. Keep an eye out. That's what I'll be doing tomorrow, 8:30 Eastern.
There you go. Thank you to everybody hanging out in the chat today. Very fun stream. Shout out to all of our touts, PPR Squares, O'Hara, Emo, Cups. Like I said, also check them out on Davis's stream. The third and final component of this week in their content is the solo stream. And then we'll be huddling and we'll be making some decisions with guest Davis Maddock, As always, you never know. Are there surprises in store with the episode? Tune in to find out. And if for some reason you missed last week's episode of So You Think You Can Tout, that is live. It's an awesome episode there featuring a lot of the content from the bash, as well as some separate interviews that these guys did. As far as for me, with plugs, I'm going to do ship chasing right now. We are going to have Theo Greminger on from RotoWire. We're going to talk through some league winning selections, specifically through the redraft lens. That's where we've been focused over there right now on ship chasing. Tomorrow, I will have Best Ball Bash at noon Eastern, back to the normal time slot. Swolecast got flexed because of the tout stream yesterday. No Davis Maddock. We're going to have Cody Main from ETR. He's been getting shredded, looking like a Greek god over there. And we're going to talk to him about the secrets of what he's been doing. And then my final thing, After Dark, tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, Lord Reeves, one of the GOATs in the fantasy space. Haven't had a chance to catch up with him recently. Excited to see Reeves tomorrow, so YouTube members can get access to that. Otherwise, go check us out over on Ship Chasing here in a second, and we will see you guys next time.